Okay. Well. Hello. Welcome one and all to yet another episode of WhickTV, a cross-ideological space where we come together to talk about issues political and cultural, from the silly to the serious, and we have a show for you today. We're going to be talking about privacy, specifically how it relates to our online lives. What expectation should people have for privacy in their online communications and online dealings? Uh, what level of privacy are we as content creators owed? What about if we were politicians or public figures? What level of privacy should we be able to expect? And in what instances is it okay for someone's privacy, online or otherwise, to be violated? Well, we're going to talk about all that and more. I guess I'll start us off. We'll do something a little different to start us off. I'll tell us a small story. Okay. When I was 24, 25, back in the day. Okay, so ancient times. The internet was still young. I got into a fight online, right? Like an argument with an online community. And this community found all the private posts I had made on other sites, right? That were unrelated. And they would bring it to bear to try to embarrass me or use it against me or reveal me to be a weirdo or what have you. These other sites that weren't affiliated with this community weren't private per se, but my accounts were not linked. I would use my at the time real name in some of those, right? And in this community, I was not using my real name. So it was embarrassing. It was a problem for me. It was bad. But should I have had a reasonable expectation that people wouldn't have gone to these other sites to pull from? I don't know. What do we all think about? What do we think about that kind of behavior? I just want to kind of get a read of the room, if we can. Go ahead.
I'll go first. I guess I'm gonna say that for sure what those people are doing is like creepy and weird and scummy. Um, and I would say that you ought to be able to have that expectation for privacy, but everything that you put online is basically going to be there forever. You can really, I feel like it would be irresponsible for me to pretend like, because it ought to be that way, that people ought to respect your privacy and try to delineate between something that may or may not be from your past, or you would like if less people saw it, or was clearly in a sequestered part of the internet, if that even exists. I think you should just assume that nobody's going to respect that and that your online privacy is basically going to be what you make of it. So if you put something out there, people have the ability to find it, they will use it against you. So
Okay, I understand that that's how it is, right? I understand that's a culture. Would it make a difference to you? And I'm curious if these were like DMs or private like group chats or instant messages or what have you. If it wasn't on an online site, but it was instead in a private conversation, which again no one else had access to except for the people who were invited, and it was a small group of like a small private forum or something that wasn't publicized online or anything.
I think the only reasonable expectation you could have for privacy and what you've described would be like in DMs on like a one-on-one basis. Even like a group chat that you need like an invite to get into or that has multiple people, you have no way of controlling like whether or not that person is going to be like sharing the logs or screenshots or what was sent around, or even just discussing its contents elsewhere. So I don't think you have as much of a reasonable expectation of privacy in like a group chat.
What do the rest of you think?
I mean, it depends on who you're associating with and how well you know them, right? If you're just getting into a group chat or even like private discords or whatever with like large amounts of people, you kind of have to be aware of what you're saying and have the expectation, especially if you're going to be a public figure, that people are going to try to go and snoop in your life and find embarrassing things, especially in a world of like drama and politics. Like, it's just obvious. So like you have the right to privacy, but that also comes with the responsibility to make yourself private.
Yeah, I kind of
What does
concur.
that even mean? The right to privacy, but you have to make yourself private.
So I mean, I use my real name, and like if you go through my Twitter, if you go through my like my Instagram, my TikTok, whatever it is, I try not to say anything that would that I would agree with or stand on, right? And then by getting into DMs with people, if I don't trust those people completely, or if I'm just giving them the trust and then they go ahead and betray that trust, I mean that's a choice that you made, right? Like it's a choice that you're making and a risk that you're taking when you're like operating through with people that you don't know.
$5 from Brendan Hoover to say, first time tuning into your chat, Wick. I've really loved all the collabs you've made happen. Keep it up. Well, we're going to try. But Pepper, you had some thoughts. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but go ahead.
No, it's okay. I was just roughly going to agree with that. I also use my real name online because it's tied to my art, and that's like I've been using it since I was probably like 13 or 14. So I have like a long like historical record online, but I just kind of think even in private DMs and things like that, you just kind of have to accept that anything you say might potentially get out and be okay with the consequences of that. Like it'd be ideal if it didn't. But pretty much anything I say, I'm like, okay, like I'm saying this. If it gets out, maybe it's not my favorite thing in the world, but that's a possibility, and that's in saying it, I'm kind of accepting that. Unless you're like in person with somebody in like a private room, like it's very, very hard to guarantee that there's like no potential for somebody recording something.
Fair enough. What do you think, Prime?
I think we kind of just live in a new world where this idea of privacy is illusory. Like even with what Pep just said, like, well, you can only guarantee if you're in a private room with someone one on one, but they could easily be recording, right? There's many ways
Yeah,
to
true.
record a person that way without their knowledge. So, like, I think um, it's just like levels of confidence is all you can have. So uh, I think that you can feel a bit more confident if it's one on one. You can feel a bit more confident if you know this person, but all of these waver, right? I thought I knew people. They leaked my DMs before, right? It's happened, um, and I take Pep Stan that I would just understand that whenever I type something, it baseline. There's a like a tiny possibility that it'll be everywhere. So
Sure. I mean, I get everything that everyone here is saying, and I'm sorry that 𝕵𝖎𝖎 didn't make it. He's in the hospital today. So we wish him well. And I don't know where 𝕬𝖎𝖎 is. I hope she comes soon. But I this
Just
all
say it.
feels
You think we're victim blamers.
No, this all feels so like boomer or not doomer. It feels doomer. It feels like, well, there's nothing we can do. Oh, it's just the way the world works. We're just in a different world now. People are just going to violate people's privacy
what can we
left
do?
and right.
Weren't you just in this exact situation with like your Discord and your Discord members not opting to like want to be content, but then someone within your Discord screen recorded that, and
Sure.
so it's like
But
they
you know
didn't
what I
choose to be
didn't do?
content.
I didn't throw up my hands and be like, oh, well, sucks
Yeah.
to suck. I made sure
Well,
that there were
you
consequences
took
to the person who
you
did
took
that,
actions.
right?
You took actions to either to ban the person for a week or give them a warning or suspend them for the week, and if they repeat that action, then you ban them. But like you can't just have the expectation that nobody's going to do that. You have to assume the expectation that someone's going to eventually like record chats and disperse them.
Yeah,
But for the best, plan for the worst.
You had something to say. I didn't interrupt.
Well, you can inflict consequences for breaking that, right? Like we can have social pressure, actual monetary consequences, whatever it is. You can do that, but in terms of expecting that things won't get out, that's a different question as to how can we respond to it once it does.
Let me ask you this. Say you were in a private group chat, a Twitter group chat, or a DM on Discord. Whether this was wise of you to do or not, you shared something deeply personal and perhaps even, right, like something that could harm you if it got out. Like, I don't know, some health
Sushi's
issues that you may have
backstage.
had. there's a lot of things it could be. The person who you were talking to, or one of the people you were talking to, decides to put it online, just blast it out there. What do you think the consequences of that should be? And because of it being blasted out there, you were harmed, you were hurt. Maybe it ruined your reputation in certain circles, or you lost your job because of it. Something, again, you weren't saying publicly, but because you mentioned something in private, was taken out of context. These things. What should be the consequence to the person who is leaking those details?
I mean, that's harassment and defamation,
Sushi's backstage. Right? I just want you to know that.
Oh, I'll bring her in.
Yeah.
That's harassment and like defamation, right? There are things you can do about those kinds of things, right?
It depends, because if you're like a limited person public figure, you're not going to have as much recourse as somebody who is like strictly a private citizen. So even by us having like online personalities, aliases, usernames, and operating in a public capacity and trying to like extend our platform, the US government at least recognizes us as like kind of again, like limited purpose public figures. Like, we're volunteering this information, we're going to have like a different civil standard when it comes to what people can be, like how much privacy we can reasonably expect the government to protect us from other people violating, and like how much other people are entitled to like know about you.
I thought he was referring to like a normie, just like an average person.
Sure. Well, I'll give you this. Someone who's a teacher, okay? They teach at a school. They have an OnlyFans. They don't spread it. They don't advertise it and stuff. And they're simply just living their life. They have an alias that they have on their OnlyFans. They don't connect it at all to their real life and things like that. Someone finds out, okay, and takes that information and spreads it all over. It's not untrue information, right? It's not technically private because they're, it's an OnlyFans that's out there. How wrong is that? Like, how do parents, and you could argue that the parents have the right to know what their teacher is doing in their off time, right? The teacher or their kids are doing in the off time. Like, so I guess just how serious should we take something like that?
I mean, unfortunately, you are kind of putting that out there, right? So if some people are if you're opting and putting your OnlyFans out online, and people are going to find it, people are going to want to link a real life person, even if you're like, you have the anonymity. So it's like, it's super wrong and it's creepy and it's like fucked up. But at the same time, like, you just can't expect that people won't do it. How wrong is it? I don't know, unless you can do jail time or defamation. But if we're saying that we can't even do that because they're public figures, then
it's hard. Defamation doesn't even count, like, because if it's true, like we can just drop that completely.
Well, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. And like, again, we're back to what I said previously. This idea of privacy is illusory. Like, the moment you put it out there, it's out there. There are things that I've said online. I'm like, I kind of wish I didn't tell you that. But they're out there. And I'm like, in the future, I'll just have, if like,
I forgive you for what you said about my people, by the way. I forgive you. Okay.
Wait, can I ask you a question about this hypothetical?
Sure. But I also want to give our new person here a chance to introduce herself in a second. But ask your question, then we'll get to Sushi.
So, if you come across an OnlyFans page and you have the suspicion that it's somebody that you know in person, and you attempt to like expose them by jumping through hoops and barriers that they've like clearly put up with the OnlyFans, like they're using a fake name, they're wearing masks, like these things, I think are like, anybody can see that these are reasonable attempts to remain anonymous. So I think to expose that is like slightly different than if you come across an OnlyFans page of like your teacher and you see that the only thing that's changed is that they're operating under a username, but you can see it's their face, and otherwise like everything is mostly public. I think it's entirely possible for somebody to draw attention to that with like no malice at all, because they wouldn't assume that this person is trying to do this in like a private capacity, because it's on the internet. They're voluntarily putting it up there and they're attaching their face to it. If you're trying to get someone fired with it, then that's just fucked up. But you don't have to. It doesn't have to be like an OnlyFans. Just trying to get someone fired in general is usually fucked up to me.
Sure, but so say they were trying to hide their face, putting the masks, putting up barriers and someone still dug, what difference does that make? Because it sounds like what everyone else is saying is that, well, we can't really do anything about this. We can't really make this criminal. Are you taking the stance that you would make something like that criminal if we can prove some kind of like extra effort was put into violating these people's boundaries?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's reasonable.
How would you make that into law? Like, how would you write
Harassment.
that? Like, no harassment. Like so there is information that you have put out there, right? That you have transmitted. Not that someone's stolen from you. Like,
Mhm.
there were some videos in your computer, and then they took that and put it online. You put it online, and then somehow, like, they figured out who you are,
Mhm.
and this information leaks. So, like, you have to judge the number of steps. Like, how many steps are there until it's criminal, right? Sure, maybe they had a mask, but like you recognize their bedroom because you've been in their bedroom, right? Is that enough steps? Or is it that, like, wearing like a domino mask gives you a certain level of protection that, like, well, of course we can't reveal this person. And then what about when we
Like
move into
Superman
other
wearing
realms?
glasses? Like
Like, if they're wearing a KKK hood, right, and you expose them, it's not an OnlyFans. I mean, I guess you could combine the two, but I know. But like, if they're doing like a podcast, right, in a KKK hood, and you expose them, now should that person also be prosecuted? Like, I don't know how to
So
straight.
to me, it kind of comes with, like, if you can prove the person who released it, and then the harassment that comes afterwards. So, like, I have an anecdote, if this counts. In high school, there was a girl that came over from a different high school. She had, was previously overweight, came, lost a bunch of weight. People were hyper attracted to her, so on and so forth. She had deleted the pictures online of her, like, previously. Someone found a picture of her being overweight, printed up pictures of those, and then posted them all over the school, right? And so it's like, now she's being made fun of. There are a bunch of, like, she's being harassed. And if you can find the person who posted those pictures, I mean, yeah, wouldn't you assume that they're they're responsible for the harassment that came? What was your intention of posting, like, bringing up the pictures or doing all that, right? If not to make fun of the person and harass them.
Yeah, maybe. That might be a case there,
But then the issue you're talking about is harassment, not like a
Yeah,
privacy
I know. Well,
violation.
Well, we were saying, like, what would be the way to try someone for, breaking someone's privacy? That would be one way, right?
But you're not breaking a person's privacy. That's different. What you just said was different from the
Why? I
situation.
went out of my way to find private pictures that the person went out of the way to delete, took them, and publicized them.
So, were these pictures, or so I guess maybe were these pictures online?
I mean, I don't really know the depth of it, whether it was like a tagged photo, whether they were
What if
just
they were
like
like
photos that
on
you
like an
found on
archive
MySpace, whatever
website
it
or
is.
something, but they took them down off of like all the proper websites they were
tried
originally
to, right?
on?
They tried to privatize the photos as much as they could.
Oh,
Yeah.
and but even then, I mean, like, once
Is
it's
it
out,
just
it's out.
they're just fucked at this point? Like,
Yeah,
it's
well,
all
I mean,
out there once, and
It's unfortunate, but kind of, right?
Yeah.
If you put it, if you maybe do something with information with specifically the intent to harass, then is just harassment in general, right? If you do, yeah, you're just describing harassment. But like, we're talking about privacy, and then like, taking steps to figure someone's identity out. That's different. That alone is different. And if we're talking about making that a crime, then I want to know, like, what are the limits to that?
Oh, no, well, I
before
don't
we
think
go
that would
too
be
far,
the crime, right, Cybers?
before we go
Well, no,
too far,
Straight Rate said that you
yeah,
like
I just
that'd be a
wanted
crime.
to.
So I'm
I wanted to
curious.
give our new person here a chance to weigh in a little bit and introduce themselves. $10 from Doobie first, because my money comes before all of you. Wick, is it true that you're the spinner in Meat Spin? It's been all over the internet the last couple days. You can come over and find out, Doobie, and I'll show you directly. Sushi, is that how you say your name, Sushi?
Yeah, like the food.
Like the food. What are your thoughts on this? Privacy online.
I mean, I think as soon as you put something online, it's public. In this example, if they had put the photos online previously, they were publicly accessible. Even if later on they wanted to try to privatize that, they were already public. People had like access to it. So I feel like I mean, the harassment aspect of it is something else, but I don't think that that's necessarily like a privacy concern if they themselves put that information online at one point or another.
What if they did? What we all saw recently, the plane lady, the that's not a real person. You know,
Oh,
we
yeah.
all
Well,
saw
Motherfucker
that.
is not
that.
real.
Yeah.
Yeah, that person didn't put it online, right?
Yeah.
They were literally existing. Someone filmed them and
In a
put it
public
online.
place.
They were in
Yeah,
a
but
public
in a
space.
plane, right?
Yeah.
That was a public,
Oh.
public place. So there's no
They're
right
on a
to
plane.
privacy.
Anything that you can see out in public can be recorded. That's a First Amendment protection in the United States, at least. So if you can see it with your eyes, with the exceptions of like restrooms, almost all of that is like up for grabs. Like if a cop ever tells you that you can't be filming them, they're lying to you.
Certainly.
Exactly.
So like in Japan, is it Japan or China on their phones? Like you have to have, like if you take a picture, it makes a shutter sound every single time because of the upskirting, like the epidemic of upskirting photos. So then they took initiative to do that because people are going to try to upskirt photos, and like you should have the right to privacy, but like the expectation doesn't there, so they did something to prevent that. And that's kind of like how this works, right?
Yeah. And Ali,
Yeah.
like even and sorry, go ahead. Someone else going to go? Okay, then I'll go. Then Ali, even in the situation you talked about earlier, let's say this woman put a girl, I guess at the time, puts pictures on her Facebook and deletes them later. But like once you put them there, someone could have saved it. So they had previously saved it when it was available, and then publish those pictures afterwards. Like, do you have to check before you publish pictures that were previously public, right? Do you have to check if they're still available before you put them anywhere else? Like, because then that complicates things. So, like,
if
it
you're
just
saving photos and posting them, you don't have to check anything, right? Like, there's like I don't put any
So what's the
responsibility on the
difference?
person who's creeping, right? Like that person is just doing what they do.
You don't need like
Oh,
waivers or
creepy?
anything to
Yeah,
read
like
those
you
pictures.
could,
Yeah.
Why is it creepy? If you put a photo out and someone saves the photo, that's a creepy.
Are we talking about
behavior?
like once again? Are we talking like normies or public figures?
But hold on, anything. You put the photo out and like, oh, I like this photo, and then you save the photo, right? It could be like her like sniffing daisies out in the sunset, like, oh, this is a really artistic photo, and then you
Yeah,
save the
I
photo.
kind of liken that to like Helga from Hey Arnold, where she had a shrine in her room, and like that is a bit creepy, right? Like
That is
you're
not at
saving the
all
pieces
creepy.
of gum
That's
they had.
ridiculous.
You're putting
Being
photos of them, putting
creepy
on your
is
wall.
not a crime.
And it doesn't make a difference any which way, because like you're putting the
Thankfully,
photo
right?
out
I
like
don't
you
wanna go to
like,
jail.
the other person
Well-
likes it, and then they save it. Whatever. I guess it's not important.
Yeah.
But I want to bring it back to straight away. You
Mhm.
said we should make it illegal if you take quote unquote extra steps to find information. So like, how does that work?
I'm talking about stuff more related to like doxing. You know, because like those are like doxing can occur with information that is all technically publicly available. Like I can go on the yellow pages if I have somebody's name, I can find their number, I can find their address. But if I compile certain information in a particular way with the intent to deploy it and draw attention to it to violate somebody's like reasonable expectation that like again, like they're not going to have people's like their address posted places or like their phone number, things that are like safety concerns. I think that could be legally actionable in some circumstances. Yeah.
I think maybe I would give it to you if you're saying like you're putting
Because like
their
those things are out
address.
there for all of us, even whether or not we consent to it. Like you have to usually like pay those websites to take them down.
I would say maybe there might be something about posting a person's address, because then you put them in like specific danger. But identifying a person, I don't like the idea of saying that would be illegal, because there's lots of times where that's extremely useful. Like
Like when?
Doxing Nazis. Absolutely, that's a good time to do that.
But then you get into the like, it's okay to dox people I don't like, but not the people I like kind of vibes a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, but no. Actually, no.
Yeah?
The opposite of that. I just said I don't want to make it illegal. So I'm saying that there
Oh,
are
yeah.
times that are useful, and so even if it happens to a person that I like, then yeah, then it's whatever.
I feel like it's kind of like a weird distinction between like doxing information like addresses that could be dangerous to people, because what if it's a person who like it's just like so many, it's like a very small step from identifying a person's like real name and connecting it to their address. So any kind of like identifying that potentially masked OnlyFans person could be just as dangerous as like posting their address somewhere, because somebody can take 2 seconds to find that.
$10
Well,
from
I
RB for an interesting question that might drive this a little forward. Do you guys think it should be illegal to record or take pictures of people in public, then post their photos on Coomer sites? What if I just keep it for myself? Does the age of the subject matter? So if you find someone going out in public, like to the mall or to a movie theater or something, and just taking pictures of people and then posting them to sites which make AI porn of people,
So
is that a problem?
yeah, so what I'm starting to hear is that the problem is less with like individual privacy and becomes when someone is using those private things and publicizing them, which is the harassment aspect of it, right? So I mean, if you're taking a photo and like keeping it to yourself, that's creepy, sure, but that's not really like invasion of like releasing of privacy per se. But if you're uploading it to a site where other people can then use it, then yeah, you're invading that person's privacy, right? Then that becomes a harassment issue.
I don't think we
Also,
should ever be taking pictures of children in public.
That part.
I was
too,
just gonna say anything with a minor kind of adds another layer on it that I think changes things.
that part.
Wait,
I
so
don't
if
know. I
if
disagree
I'm
with
just
that.
making a documentary of downtown,
I was gonna say that
Philadelphia.
you do get into like a weird thing if you're taking a
If
family
they're-
photo at the beach
Well,
and
if
there's
you're
like a kid in the
specifically
background.
going
Is
out of your
that
way to
like
take pictures of, like,
illegal?
Are they
Yeah.
the
If they're-
subject of the image? Are they your intention of when you're taking the picture? Like if you're taking a picture of a monument and there's like people around, they're not the like. Actually, recent example of this. I don't know if y'all know who Daniel Larson is. Very scary man on the internet. But recently he went to like a concert and there was like children dancing and he was like pretending to record the concert, but he was actually just like recording like these like children for like a long time. And like people around him looked uncomfortable, but nobody said anything to him at any point. But then like everyone in the comments was like, if I was there, I would have been like, hey, don't record those children.
No,
But
fuck
like
that. No, like you should be able to record children. Absolutely. If it's in public, yeah. Hold on. Are we going to say? Well, I thought I was recording an 18-year-old, but turns out this individual was 16, and so now there's a punishment for that. Like
Didn't that
it
happen in
makes
the Ice
literally no
Spice music
sense.
video where she had like a 16-year-old twerking for her music video, and then people found out she was 16, and that was a whole like thing, right?
Oh,
I
shit.
don't
but
know what you're
she
talking about.
recruited that person to be in her
Yeah.
music video though.
Well, I was just saying, like, recording minors.
That's
Yeah.
different than accidentally recording a minor, I suppose.
well, even on
I'm
purpose.
talking about
Say
like
you were
in
Well, he's saying
public.
you should be able to. It's a public space, right? It's a music video shoot, and they're just dancing.
Yeah. So I'm saying, well, I think
disagree with that, with the notion. I'm just saying.
I think that's different. I think that might be different because you're like making some like a paid product or something. I don't know. I'm not a lawyer, so I'm not gonna touch on like a music video. I don't understand how that would work legally. I'm just saying that a private person taking pictures throughout the city, you should be able to take a picture of anything that's in public.
So if there's like children playing in like a water fountain, you think that someone should be able to
Absolutely.
go over and record those children playing?
Absolutely. If you don't want your kids to be recorded in a water fountain, then don't put your kids in.
Should
like,
they
'cause
be able to post
need
that video online?
Yeah,
Should
that's
they
true.
be able to post that video online? Probably, yeah, of course.
They're
I
in a
don't know
public
why
place.
they wouldn't. Yeah, they're in a public place.
I feel like if anybody confronts somebody who's doing that, you're not really approaching them on the legal grounds. You're approaching them because you can tell, or like you have like suspicious intent is what you're looking at. It's like I would never try to stop somebody from like if I had a child like filming my kid on the grounds that like that's against the law. I would say like quit, fuck off, you're being a fucking creep, basically. But I wouldn't I wouldn't think that I had legal standing for it.
Do you think you could punch them a little bit?
Sushi. See, hold on, Sushi. So
I'm just curious.
Let me give you a hypothetical here. You're walking. I don't know where you are or anything, but you're walking. You're going about your day, and you come across a man, and he's filming two children on the swing set, swinging to have a good old time. You punch him in the face?
No, I would assume that is their guardian.
Yeah, that could be their kids.
My
And then I
first,
just punch
my
their
first
dad in the face.
assumption would be that is their guardian.
Fair enough. But when do you assume it's not their guardian? Is what I'm asking.
I would only punch someone in the face if it was my kids.
When they're hiding behind the
Oh.
trees.
They're hiding behind the trees. That's how they do it, right? They just like sneak out and peek from around there.
I mean,
don't know.
I was picking up my nephew from an elementary school, and I took him to like go play in the playground. And as I'm walking up to the playground, he like ran ahead of me. And the mothers, I'm standing against the wall, and 3 mothers turned around and they started like questioning why I was there and who I was, and if I was picking up a kid. And I mean, I think that's reasonable.
That's fucked up. Like,
Why is it fucked up?
Pick them up at a playground.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
so like
think
it's fucked
having
up that
reasonable
men can't be
suspicion-
in
the
a
way it looked,
playground.
so the way it
That's the
looked to them
problem.
was I was just walking in and standing on the wall because like my nephew ran ahead of me. So to them, it just looked like I was just like sitting there and like just staring around.
Yeah,
Do you-
so what?
Do you
Like,
think
Yeah,
it
but
was
that's
maybe
fucked
because
up.
of how you
in a
looked?
playground. Yeah, so
Was it because
like
of how
men
you
can
looked?
be in a playground. Fuck that.
No, I'm from an Arab community. No one's looking at my beard and
Okay.
questioning anything.
But you see what I'm getting at here, right? Like how this kind of thing could be weaponized and used against people, the scary people, quote unquote, right?
Yeah.
And suddenly people like Prime are getting a lot more questions than people like me, right? So,
Now, if they took photos of me and just posted them online without any communication, without anything, and then now my photos being spread around, like obviously then I would be, to me, that would be harassment, right? It stops being the privacy issue, but that comes from the privacy, right? People shouldn't be able to take photos of me and upload them online, but they can and they do. So it's
But no,
like,
they should be able to take photos of you. Now, if they put it in a way that like implies that you've done something wrong when you haven't, that's defamation, right?
exactly.
But that's different. But that's different from taking, because the problem is this conversation. You guys keep like inputting more into this question than is being asked, right? We're talking about the privacy. So the privacy in this point would be like, are you allowed to be in public without someone taking a picture of you? No,
Shouldn't
someone
occur,
should
no.
be able to take a picture of you. Now, they putting them online and saying something, spreading lies about you, that's something different. That's not talking about privacy.
Saying someone should have the ability to do something and then should they do it is kind of, I guess, where we're like, you can have the ability. I don't think you
Wait.
should do that, right? I think that's like weird.
What about
That's
that
not-
Twitter
that's not
trend
legal.
where people like
That
take
is
pictures
legal.
of people in public and then like roast them on their Twitter feed?
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah,
Is that not harassment?
I mean,
It is harassment, but it's not necessarily an
taking a-
invasion of privacy if they're not trying to actually use that picture to like link it to their like personal
yeah, if you're
info
not
or
tagging a
anything like
person's
that.
name and sending people to their page or sending people to their like accounts or whatever it is.
yeah, but
Like-
you could yeah, that would be a problem. So first of all, thank you for the
Yeah.
raid, Flow Trace. Really appreciate you. Check him out. You guys can go and click on the link. We shouted him out in chat. He's a great guy. Check him out. Also, $5 from Doobie. Should it be illegal to flick your bean to clothed photos of kids? If not, why does it matter why they're recording? That's a question. You can answer it if you'd like. But I guess with the roast thing, with the TikTok roast things where they, again, just film someone in public and then just make fun of them, of their appearance and things, even without linking it to the person, these people still exist in real life, and odds are their friends and family are also online. And depending on how far this goes and how big of a platform that it gets, there can be a reasonable expectation that the people who know this person will see this. Yeah, is that not a problem to all of you?
I mean, I think that's like factored
You can
into
get
the
roasted
law
in
when we're
public, right?
talking-
Someone can just make fun of you in public around your friends and family, and I mean, like, they can see you get roasted, and that could have the same effect.
I feel like there's like that is taken into account. The problem is none of us are lawyers here, but that, like, for instance, Elon Musk is being sued because he harassed a kid who not so people in the far right community, like in 4chan, said that this guy was like a Fed basically within a Nazi community, and then he was like, oh yeah, that's the guy, right? And he brings all this attention onto him. Like, Elon Musk's speech is different than my speech because of his size of his platform and the resources he has available. So like his culpability has a greater level of culpability, I guess. So that's like accounted.
I don't know. Like, whenever, do you guys remember those like fucking impact font memes, like Scumbag Steve or the 𝕾𝖍𝖎𝖙 chick?
Yeah.
Like, whenever I see those, there was not ever a part of me that like it took years until these people actually like talked about like, oh, you recognize this person, this is who I am. I never for a second really thought like this is actually something that may or may not have like impacted them personally. In the same way, like, I can't remember the name of the Nirvana like album cover. Like, the baby who's in the one, he's like a naked baby in water, has like attempted to sue Nirvana for using that like image of him multiple times, and it's like never come to fruition. I think it's just ends up being like the only time it occurs to me of like, oh fuck, this person's like being humiliated is when I'm looking at stuff like WorldStar, you know, or videos like that where people's like worst moments are being filmed, but otherwise I usually think it ends up being like relatively harmless, if not entertaining to the people, because like all the people in the like impact font memes talked about how they like enjoyed it for the most part. There's very few of them talking about how it like ruined their life.
They're micro celebrities.
Yeah, if you can even call it that. I guess like to me a more interesting one would be like the people who were present at the Unite the Right rally and like Charlottesville in is it 2017, 2016? Like those people, the ones who like didn't bother wearing hoods and stuff like that, people, there were like Twitter accounts dedicated to like finding their names and all of that and like getting them fired and like getting them exposed.
I mean,
I don't know
that's
what
a
you guys
whole
think
trend
about
on
that.
like Twitter or Instagram or TikTok where people like take a photo of someone they find attractive and they go, TikTok or Twitter, help me find this person, and like that's like a whole that's a whole trend genre.
Well, like thirst fishing, I feel like is different than somebody who's like looking at somebody at the Unite the Right rally who's like clearly trying to like expose a Nazi, you know?
Wait, regardless of the legality of this, are we okay morally with that? With being able to take a picture of someone in public, post it online, said, find this person for me because I think they're hot. That seems gross to me on a lot of levels.
Seems also dangerous a little bit.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. I mean, like, is it gross? Sure, it happens. And if you notice, most of the time in the comments, everyone's usually saying like, hey, why didn't you just go up to that person? Like, why are you using the internet? Like, you're not even going to do anything if we do find the username for you. So it's usually like people make fun of that person, right? I mean, I'm sure sometimes it happens where people go out and find someone, but then their page also blows up, right? And sometimes it benefits them. It's weird.
I mean, I think it's weird. I don't know if it's immoral though.
Yeah.
I just think it's fucking weird. It's like I think it's unhealthy. Also, I
think
wouldn't.
I think
I
I
don't
judge
know.
the people, like the people, like I understand that the plane was a public place and the lizard woman, or I don't know, the you're not real person was okay with it. Eventually she tried to monetize it, but for a few weeks there were people who were obsessed with finding this person's information, and they spent weeks trolling Twitter, making call-outs on Twitter. Thousands of people were doing this. Yeah. And I think that this is a warning sign for our culture where this is at all acceptable. Again, I don't know the legality of it. I don't know if I wouldn't want to make this illegal, right? Because there's dangers in that. But when it comes to our culture and how we deal with this culturally, there are too many people who not only just shrug their shoulders or will be like, I'll help you do it. That's the problem. Rabid Wombat for 100 bits. Hey, I think this person may be a Nazi, so help me find their real identity so I can take justice in my own hands. Is a way more awful and mentally ill than trying to find someone because they're hot. That's also bad, right? Like I'd also have cultural issues with that, right? But
yeah. I have a potential hypothetical, whether I feel like Facebook has had this technology for a while, but I feel like we're getting to the point with AI and things like that, where on social media websites, what if there was a function where, and this could be expanded. I was first thinking of it if you upload photos with children in them, it automatically blurs them out unless you're the parent and you have permission and you are oh, these are my photos. What if that was with every public photo taken ever and you upload it onto a site and people are blurred unless you allow yourself to be tagged in that photo? There's on Facebook and Instagram where you're oh yeah, show that I'm tagged in this. It would be that, but one step extra where things are automatically blurred.
The problem
would that be a good or bad thing?
The problem with that is then I'd have to give my data to these AI sites or these the whatever mechanisms using to try to link us, and that has problems too, right? I don't know if I want to put myself in that kind of database.
I feel like that might be, you might be an edge case there though. There's millions of Instagram, Facebook users, things like that, TikTok. So there's plenty of people who are on board with that. Do you think it would be good for them?
If it just blurred every human face, then you wouldn't have to necessarily be a part of it to be excluded. You would only have to be a part of it to be included, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I don't think that's an edge case, really. I mean, before there was Facebook and MySpace and the internet, the thing that I would think about is when I was looking at family photo albums, and I would see when we took pictures at restaurants or at amusement parks, all the people that ended up in the background, and I wondered I wonder how many people's family albums I've ended up in inadvertently because I was passing in the background or whatever. Yeah, exactly. Well, the photobomb is more intentional, just accidentally because I just happened to be in their line of sight when they're taking the picture. The idea of it, when But then when it's moving to like the internet or whatever, the thing that did make me uncomfortable was like when Facebook first was introduced, there was like lower barriers of privacy as far as like the only thing that like stopped people from seeing, like you couldn't untag yourself from a photo if somebody tagged you in it. You had no choice but to like say tagged or whatever. When they introduced those features, I feel like that's kind of the way that you can. I like to make it more. Like I sleep easier at night knowing that that's a feature. But before with the photo thing, I never thought anything of it. It didn't worry me or bother me that people had like photos of me inadvertently. Because it just seemed like it was like mutual exchange going on. It was like there's people with pictures of me that I didn't intend to have taken of me, and there's other people in mine. And what about it?
Do you feel weird about intentional photos of you, like private photos or like secret photos, people taking pictures of you?
Me personally, no, not really. I feel like there's so many examples of like photographers who are dedicated to like documenting the homeless or like documenting street scenes in Japan or in New York City, and I never look at that and think like, oh man, the poor people who didn't even ask to be part of this like art project and stuff like that, because I can tell it's like they're on the peripheral, they're not really like the intention for the most part, or even if they are, that as a subject, I don't think that that's really that's really intrusive, because you can always ask somebody like, can I take your photo?
Would it be fair, okay, if someone who was just happened to be caught in an important moment, right? Say that there's some kind of tragedy or there's some sort of significant event, because of how it's filmed, the person is pretty front and center in that event or in that interaction. Maybe they had a exchange with a politician, and the politician made a gaffe or something, and it gets blown up and thrown all over, right? This person is a very private person. They don't want their shit out there. Should they have the right to take it down? To request that sites, news sites, etc., just be like, no, I don't want you showing this because it features me. And I know that you can try to blur it out, but it's not, it'll ruin the thing. So, yeah, just take it down. Or does the public good of seeing the gaffe or seeing the event override the privacy we would give the individual?
I think if you're that shy and you would be that opposed to the idea that you might be captured, like you have no business. It's incumbent upon you to not put yourself in situations with public figures who you can absolutely guarantee.
You're at a restaurant. A politician comes into the restaurant unbeknownst to you to make a campaign stop or something and starts talking. The camera's following them around. You were just eating in public, okay? And then you get caught in this interaction.
And your just eating in public, and then, oh no, the wife might see this. I got it. Go ahead.
Whatever reason, right? And that's a reason some might have, right? But for whatever reason, there's an exchange. You're involved in it. You're front and center in these things. You don't want everyone maybe knowing your politics. Maybe even the fact that you interacted with this like Trump or something would be enough to get you shunned at work or shunned in your social circles. And so you want it taken down because you know it's going to impact your personal life. Should you have the ability to contact the news and say, hey, I don't want this out there. It's could have caused me damage.
You can have the ability.
Yeah, you can contact them.
You can ask.
They don't have to do anything. They shouldn't have to take it down, no.
What if you're in like a doctor's office or like a pharmacy?
Ooh.
Well, if they're recording you in a doctor's office, that's a problem regardless, right?
It's like a private place.
Yeah. But
what if a politician goes to a doctor's office to do I don't know,
a public event at a private office, and it becomes a public event.
Doctor, I don't know.
No, I don't think so. I think that at that point, that's gratuitous, and anybody who's trying to say that, like, oh, this is in the public interest because I need to know what doctor Taylor Swift is going to, or, like, Ted Cruz's aunt's oncologist is my business or whatever, like, you're really stretching the bounds of, like, what is even newsworthy or, like, it should be brought to the attention. I think at that point that's ridiculous now.
No. What I think what they're asking is that, like, for a politician, like we've seen this before. Like the situation you're talking about absolutely has happened before, where a politician visits a hospital, like they pass some sort of legislation, right, that affects hospital workers, and so they tour a hospital, and then they're shaking the nurses' hands and the whatever, and they're asking like, well, what can be shown if you are there in the background? I think that might be some. I don't know if it's a quote unquote HIPAA violation, But like, I
Yeah, but
think
I
that
think
you
only
have
That
much
applies
kind of
to
becomes a
the-
public event if there's like cameras following you around and you're shaking hands and you're talking and like it's
Yeah.
known that the cameras are going to be around that that
But it's
space becomes
not if
public.
you're just existing in this space, like you may have no idea that there's going to be cameras there or things like that. And so again, I don't think that that's enough to say no, you're just existing in public, so you shouldn't have the right to request your public image being taken down. And if for those of you who are saying that no, the news organizations can just ignore you, what about people who used to do sex work, right? They were former sex workers. They've had their stuff out, okay? Should they be able to say, you know what? I'm ashamed of this. I don't want this out there anymore. I reserve the right to be forgotten. Take me down.
No.
No, you have to take action on that.
I mean, you have copyright, but beyond that, it's you don't that like if people choose not to spread that around, that's more of a courtesy. That's not something that you're entitled to.
It's the same. It's the theory with like OnlyFans and like future kids, right? It's like, you know, if you had an OnlyFans pass and you want to take it down, like you kind of have to take measures to do that, right? It's your responsibility to get it sponged or pay to get as much photos as you take down, but then leaks still exist, right?
Mm-hmm.
Are you guys against the EU laws then that they passed, like the right to be forgotten? So like putting in a request to Google or whatever to like sites and saying that I want to take down my information. Are you guys against those laws?
No, I mean if you can get it done, go for it. But that's your responsibility.
You
That's
can't
why,
expect that everything's going to be gone forever. Once you put it online,
Yeah.
it's there.
Yeah, I
Right.
think
Maybe
that,
that
like
would be
we're
like-
talking about like opting out. I think it's fine if the policy is basically like it's free game and then it's incumbent upon you to opt out if you want, but otherwise it's not wrong for people to assume that this is like public goods and commons.
I'm not saying wrong or right. I'm just like, are you in favor of those laws? Like, and that like, because that puts the onus on whoever is running the site to respond to those letters or to those notifications, and then take it down. And that could be you, right? Like it could be you having some sort of site. Apparently, someone else's information is on that site, and then now you have to go to the trouble of taking it down. Are you in favor of that?
Yeah. I mean, I don't even think that I thought there's laws in the United States that prohibit people from compiling like mugshots on their websites and stuff like that, and I think that they should be prohibited from doing that.
Wait, mugshots?
Yeah, I don't think websites should be able to like harvest mass data from like different like online government like municipal shit and then like post your mugshot and then you have to like pay them to take it down. There used to be websites like that.
That's interesting because that means there's more protection for people who actually break the law than people who do like OnlyFans.
No,
or
no,
something.
that's the issue to me is that when you get arrested, you've allegedly broken the law, right? But a mugshot is always going to be viewed by the public as something that like it looks like you're guilty just because you were arrested, but there's innocent people who are arrested every day. So I think that's why like that's an example of something that's a particular issue because the context surrounding that, I don't think most people will grant you the like innocent until proven
Benefit
guilty
of the doubt,
assumption.
yeah.
So I think it does that does have the ability to interfere with it. You could be wrongfully arrested for something, and then that image is going to be circulating, and it paints like a misleading photo of something that you may or may not have done.
I think it'd be fair to say that you can't release the mugshot unless you're proven guilty of the crime that you were arrested for, because like then like mugshots should be public. I think if you want to look up
But
someone's done a
trials can
crime
last
before you-
years. Trials can
Yeah,
last
or like
years.
the sex
So-
offender registry or something that would be kind of more.
So if someone
more
is
useful to
like, do
see.
you think that the public has a right to know if someone in their community leader was arrested for pedophilia or something? They weren't found guilty. They were simply arrested for it. Do you think that
No.
the
No.
public has a right to know that?
No.
Arrest? No, because what if it was a completely false arrest?
Yeah, but
Yeah.
what if
Now
they
you've
get
got-
out
now
on
you're doing
bail and
public
it's not a
perception and
false
you're ruining that
arrest?
person. I'm sorry?
Should Donald Trump's mugshot have not been revealed to the public?
No,
Yeah,
that
I think
should be.
I think it shouldn't have been until...
I'm saying it can't be compiled into a website and then you have to pay for them to take it down. It's the harvesting and like the like getting it all together in one spot is what's weird to me. It's like mugshots fall into the public domain, but I think it's a responsibility that each person has to do to like go out and find an individual person's mugshot. I don't think that it should be so easy to like compile it, if that makes sense.
I was
disagree with that.
talking to Ali specifically, right? Ali, you were saying that like mugshots shouldn't be released to the public, basically. So I'm just asking on the specific case of Donald Trump. Should his mugshot not have been released?
I mean, should it have been released? With my hypothetical, no, right? Like, I just, it's in the hypothetical I gave. Like, I think if we're gonna go with straight raids example, like you shouldn't compile them into a website. I only agree with that because some people do have false arrests, and then those false arrests can paint a whole narrative of that person, and it could be incorrect.
And
so I do think it, yeah.
Well, the same
Trump
thing.
is a public figure too. That's to me like he's like a public official, and that's completely different than like we know that the majority of people on those mugshot websites are just like random everyday working class people. They're not going to be people who are like civil servants or elected to office or whatever. Because to me, it's like once you're a public figure, that's going to be completely separate.
Wick already asked though, but that was part of his Wick's original question about like it was of a public official if they get arrested for pedophilia.
Maybe not even
correct?
like a teacher, a librarian, someone who works.
I don't think you should. No.
In the public. So if they're charged with a crime such as pedophilia, you don't think that the public has a right to know that they are under investigation for that? Enough so that they're charged. They got out on bail, right? Because we don't put people in jail until the trial, right? Like if they pay their bail, they should be fine. But they don't they look.
So
fuck that.
So it's like the situation with like
you don't think the public should have the right to know
that? Are you in favor of secret trials? Are you in favor of secret trials? This is basically what you guys are getting to. Because like what Wick is asking you is, do you should any of this information that a person has been arrested be available? And you're saying no. Okay, well the only way to guarantee that is to not have a public trial. Then it would have to be a private trial, a secret trial.
Okay, I get what you're saying. Okay, I see what you're saying.
I think it should be in the public domain. I just am against the like harvesting and like creating basically like, especially with the money, like the monetary thing of like you need to pay me to take down your mugshot on my website is getting to the point of like ransom practically to me, or like blackmail. If they just want to, I guess if they there's even an argument to me to be made like if it didn't cost any money to take it down and stuff like that, like maybe in that instance, but. This is like definitely like a weird gray area to me. Just because I think it's really like, what is the point of having innocent until proven guilty when you understand that like so much of your life is going to be influenced by like your peers and your employer and stuff like that. There's almost no point in having that as like the criminal or civil standard when there's like no protections in place to help you in the like in the public arena, if that makes sense. It like undermines that entirely. Because then if you're getting fired based off of like just the assumption of guilt, how is that? There's no point to having that as like a legal principle either.
Rabid Wombat for 100 bits, and yet you're in favor of taking the personal information of suspected Nazis and try to ruin their lives vigilante style. Curious. That is a point. If that is a concern that you have, then you should be probably railing against the people making wild accusations or in posting like oh, is it okay that this teacher be going to a Unite the Right rally or a Proud Boys rally, and then someone putting their mugshot on blast, not their mugshot, but their photo on blast and saying, this person works at your local school, you should go talk to them about it, right? You're against that, to be clear? That's to you, Aaron.
To me?
Yeah, you're against that?
No, because like I think you have a right as to like for public servants, especially like cops and stuff like that. Like I think I have a right to know if somebody of my like municipal police force is like marching in Nazi rallies.
Okay, but yet you're against a website collecting mugshots of people who were arrested for a variety of crimes and letting the public be able to see that.
Yeah, because the difference is that when you're arrested, that's completely up to the discretion of like a cop. Any given night, there's a huge chance that you may or may not have been arrested had circumstances been slightly different or had your encounter gone a little bit differently, as opposed to something like the cop or like people deliberately going out in public, like marching, aligning their like public
someone
image.
Taking a photo up to the discretion
people know
of
the arrest
random
at
Twitter
all then?
user.
Because I might walk back my statement.
Okay, what's your statement, Ali?
So like my statement was that you shouldn't release the mugshot, and now I'm thinking like, no, you probably should release it.
Was it the Nazi thing that convinced you?
Huh? It was what Prime said about the secret trials and private trials. I was like, yeah, that probably would be a conflict of interest there, right?
No, changing your mind's good. We stand that. Excellent.
Yeah. But so wait, so straight away, so then like if someone gets arrested for something, people shouldn't know of the arrest at all, or is it the mugshot, like compilation of mugshot photos?
It's a compilation of mugshots or whatever. It's that.
What do the rest of
Yeah.
you think? I want to
And the
get
fact that
get
people are
Pepper's
profiting
thoughts on
from
this. I want to
like
get
that
Sushi's thoughts
storage
on
of
this.
them.
Yeah,
Right?
that's more
Yeah.
of the like issue to me. Is like
Yeah.
now and plus you're profiting off of it, and like people have to like pay you to take it down, even though you're now like profiting off of things that are like in the public domain, which is like kind of strange. The whole point is for it to not be like profitable.
What are your thoughts, Sushi? Any?
I don't have anything to say.
Okay, fair enough.
I don't know. I feel like everybody here is smarter than me, and so I feel like when I talk, I
promise
just
you
sound
they're not.
dumb.
None of
No,
us
that's
are
not true.
smart.
I don't know.
We're
I
all
don't do
80
I don't do
IQ.
debate or anything like that. I just am like a normal person with like normal
I feel like we're just
opinions.
having a conversation. I don't even think this is like a debate,
Yeah,
honestly.
Yeah.
I think we all kind of agree more or less.
Well,
I don't know.
I substantially disagree here, but Kyle Lim for $5. What if the person who went viral for their meltdown unalives themselves? Would that be cyberbullying? Should people be held responsible? So yes, if
Who would be held
That's the
responsible?
harassment.
So, for
thing, right?
example,
And that's-
if you go to the Unite the Right rally or Proud Boys rally or something, and you snap a photo of someone that is at the rally, okay, you post that online, saying, "Hey, do we really want someone who goes to this kind of rallies teaching at our school?" And then you tag their school and things like that. And then they unalive themselves. Should you be held responsible for that?
Weren't there like some cases that were trying to go over this where there was like I feel like I read about like some high school kid who was getting bullied by her friends that posted pictures, and they were like trying to figure out if those friends were culpable because they drove her to that. I don't remember what the end result of that was though, but I feel like things
they
like
were
that have.
specifically telling her to though. I think they were like encouraging.
I remember
it.
there was a guy that was there was a girl that encouraged a guy to kill himself.
Yeah, I, think
remember
that's
that
what I'm
one.
thinking of.
What
That's
do
what
you
I'm
guys
Yeah,
think
but there was another one.
happens? What do you guys think happens to the people who were identified online as going to Unite the Right rally? What do you think people tell them?
Oh, the guy was interviewed. Like there's examples of like a fucking local news station going up to him and like asking him about that, and he like tried to back away from all of it. To me, it was like if you didn't want to be publicly affiliated with those politics, you probably should have worn a hood, right?
Or just don't go.
Or just don't go. Like if you're that if you're that worried about it.
Yeah, the hood doesn't make it okay. I'd be fine someone doxing.
Like if I go outside and I see somebody who literally has like political branding and merchandise, like a MAGA hat or a Biden shirt, and
You're
like
asking people to come up to you and say something.
I don't even know. I'm not even going to go that far. I'm just going to say I don't think it's an unreasonable assumption for people to think that like you're putting your face and you're comfortable affiliating your face with this political brand like
Yeah.
publicly.
Assuming
Make it part of your
that
whole
they were
identity, yeah.
actually at the rally by choice. I'm not
How
sure if
would
this
you
has
be at the
happened, but
rally
I can
by
imagine
choice?
scenarios where someone just happens to be in the area or wants to view it.
Yeah,
Just curious.
there was some.
And goes
There were definitely
there.
some protests where like people got arrested when they were just out getting groceries and they just
Yes.
happened to be in the area.
Yes.
So it's feasible to think that some people would have pictures taken of them in places like that, unless it's like an out of the way location. If it's like somewhere
And
like
how do you even prove
where
that,
you'd have to
right?
go.
Like, how do you even prove you weren't there like on purpose and you just wanted to, we're just outside?
I mean, I think that would depend on like the location. If there was like a gathering that was like at like, oh, here's this like monument or something, we're gonna all gather here. If you had like, if you're like, oh, I work at the museum right by the monument, then you have kind of plausible deniability. But if you're like, oh, I never go to this monument, I have no reason to go to this monument, it's like out of my way, I feel like there'd be less plausible deniability there.
Maybe I just substantively
I
very
feel like
much
people
disagree
don't-
with this idea
I
that
feel like
no, we
people
could
don't
just
go,
fucking dox
like-
Nazis. Hell yeah, brother.
I don't know that that's doxing. Like, okay, Rick, if you were reading your local newspaper and they were reporting on like the Sandy Hook shooting and they have photos of people crying at the scene of the crime, front and center as a page, right? That person's photo is going to be affiliated with this tragedy if it's like a mass shooting that goes viral in the United States or like that gets enough national attention. Like, do you think that person's privacy has been violated because they were covered in a news story?
Well, let me ask you this in return, maybe to answer. Say there's a pride parade, and there are people at the pride parade whose photos get taken, and they get put on blast on Twitter saying this person was attending the local pride parade. This is where they work. Do you think that would be a problem?
If they're not like a public servant, yeah, that's an issue.
Then why is it not an issue when someone just happens to be at the Unite the Right rally or something like that, right?
Because I think you have to take into consideration the totality of the circumstances. So I think based on like the context and stuff like that, you'll probably be able to, I would hope, based like on the photo or whatever, that like the difference between looking at somebody who's clearly a bystander versus somebody who's an active and like willing participant. So I feel like it's pretty easy to make the distinction between somebody who's actively participating in Unite the Right versus I'm literally on the sidewalk just trying to get home, dude. I'm carrying my groceries. And in the Pride Parade, like if your face is like decked out in like rainbow paint or whatever, I think it's pretty obvious you're participating versus if you are literally just on the sides and the peripheral and you're just like walking by, you know.
I don't know
the
if
people who are
I
gonna photo you
But
and like the people who are gonna come up to you, they're gonna know that you're just a bystander. They're not gonna get much clickbait out of it, like just a normal person taking a picture. You're gonna look for someone who has like is doing something, then take that photo, then that applies. Like there's context.
yeah, I think
as
that's easy enough to correct. But like, Wick, what do you think about the newspaper thing then?
The newspaper thing, I think that like simply reporting on a story, right, is a lot because they're not being accused of being the shooter, right? In your situation, they're not saying these are the people who shot up those kids, and this is their names. They're not. That's not it. There was like these are people who were just there.
Yeah,
I
at the
think that's the
scene they're
difference.
crying and stuff like that.
That's the difference, though. Is in these cases, it comes with an implicit accusation, right? There's
If a
Go
newspaper
ahead.
uses your photo, don't they usually ask you your name if they're going to put your name in there? They wouldn't just
That's
put your
something I wanted
name.
to bring up earlier, like
Yeah.
If you're the
websites,
focus of
newspapers,
the
TV
photo.
shows. Oh, but yeah, what's like is it more nebulous when it comes to like profit-based companies that whether they can use your photos or not? Or is it like is there something concrete where it's like they
No,
can't use it if it has you in it?
they can use your
So
photo. They just can't put your name unless
Uh,
they come up to you and ask you like, "Hey, like you're going to be in this picture, like what's your name? Do you want to be featured?" Cuz they don't
what
always
about
ask you.
what
Mhm.
about like in movies where they have to get releases for like extras who are going to be in background scenes when they shoot in like
because
a
it's a
city or
private
something?
shoot. It's a private
Okay.
shoot,
Yeah.
so they get the information from the person.
Yeah, that's a little bit different because you're trying to like curate content for like a private corporation versus like a
Mhm.
newspaper. I mean, newspapers are like make money, obviously. They're not like nonprofits and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But that there's like a compelling public interest there to record and like document ongoing current events for like history and whatnot. I think
What
that's
about
like
like
They're not making money off the
TMZ
photo,
or
right? They're making
something?
money off the like reporting of the situation and like the views that come with it. They're not like
right,
taking the photo, selling that
Mm,
photo as like a poster or something.
right, exactly.
okay.
But like if you take a picture of somebody at a pride parade and you say, "Hey, this is this person and this is where they work," that's a call to action to harass them. If you're saying like, "Hey,
That's
this is their workplace." Like what are you
Yes.
asking people to do? Not support
that's my
them.
argument that when you're post like the privacy only comes to an action when you're posting it, and then it's just a harassment issue.
And instead of the privacy thing, you would go after them for harassment.
I mean,
Um,
like the privacy thing doesn't matter. If someone just takes a photo of you and does nothing with it, it doesn't matter. But the problem becomes when they post it and publicize the thing that you don't want publicized.
so, would it make a difference to you then, Ali, if the person who took the person the photo takes a photo of someone at the Pride Parade, okay, posts it on Twitter? No, they don't tag anything. They just post it on Twitter. It's someone looking goofy, right? Versus someone who does the exact same thing, except for not on Twitter, but on a far right website. Is
I
there
feel
an
like where
implicit
there's
call to
more of a
action in both? One or neither?
I
Post
feel like it's like the intent of like the group that you're posting it in, right? When you're posting it on Twitter, you're kind of doing it for like the general public, or at least the people who follow you think are the general public. When you're going to like a specific group of people and then posting a photo, I think it's a little bit more of a call to action.
I don't think just posting the photo is the issue though. If you post the photo and then someone in the comments is like, "Oh, I found this person, here's their address,"
Mhm.
then that is the person that is breaking the privacy. The person who posted the photo is not really affecting the
Well, that's why I said
privacy,
it depends
right?
on where you post it, right? If you're posting it to a specific group, there's an intent there versus like if you're posting it to the general public.
Yeah, if you post it in the doxing group, you don't put any instructions like, "Oh, here's a photo in this group that's known for doxing," and then they
Mhm.
dox them.
Yeah.
Then I think you would have some level of culpability, right?
I mean, yeah, it was
Yeah.
your
Just
intent to have
posting
that.
it there is a call to action then.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think it's an interesting case though, like well, if the place you put it matters. I think that's interesting because Yeah, like I said, like I'm for taking photos. I mean, like not for it. I mean, I'm saying that it should be allowed to take photos. But then, what you do with those photos, then that matters.
Like
Um,
Libs of TikTok is a good example, right? Libs of TikTok will take public statements, public tweets, public TikToks, public announcements, public photos that in many cases the people themselves uploaded online for people to see, and they simply rebroadcast them with like, oh, look at this liberal being weird, right? Or
No.
sometimes it's much more heavy than that. Sometimes it's much lighter. A lot of people accuse them of that being a form of doxing, right?
No, I feel like usually the people that they're posting, like those people want their post to go viral, like it's usually like some crazy shit that people are saying or some wild shit, and then those people are
So you got no
typically
issues
trying to
with
be.
Libs of TikTok doing this? It's all good? They
Not
should be
really,
allowed?
no.
Okay.
or what about when it's like a video that okay, so it's in a classroom, right? They love their teacher attacks, and a child has taken a cell phone a picture of their or video of their teacher doing something, right?
Mhm.
And then they post that on their Facebook or whatever. Then Libs with TikTok puts that um, on their page. Does that change things?
No.
Hold on. The thing is that Libs of TikTok provides editorialization and commentary alongside the compilation of these things. So if they were just if we're talking about just publishing the picture, right? And saying like, because there are like Twitter pages that automatically generate this way. They will automatically post every single like Reddit post, like it'll generate like a screenshot and upload it onto like a Twitter page. The same thing could happen, but the reason why Libs of TikTok took off is because they were deliberately trying to find like they're posting TikToks from people who have like private TikTok accounts, right? Smaller ones, and then like compiling like docs information and stuff like that. They're adding hyperbolic commentary and instructions and like calls to action alongside what they're saying. At that point, you're not just like publishing something, you're publishing something with the like calls to action and the intent
Can
to
you give
like
me an
defame
example of
people and
calls of
harass
action that Libs
somebody?
of TikTok
I'm
is
like
doing?
pulling it up to like try to
Yeah,
find
please
it. Hold
do.
on.
I'll be right back, guys. Just 1 second.
Yeah, do you think?
Let's see.
But
I also
yeah,
have a side question. Like, should websites be responsible for policing their users if they're taking private content from other users, like private profiles or whatever, and then making it public? Is there like maybe that already happens?
that's a
I don't
good
know.
question.
Like Snapchat telling people when you screenshot, or what do you mean?
Oh, I mean, yeah, that's kind of self-policing because you can see when it happens. But like you said, there were the like Libs of TikTok is taking things from private, smaller TikToks. Like, do they just like friend these people and then they get accepted, and then even though now they have access, even though it's private, like should they lose their account on that site because they like went somewhere private, took private things, then posted them on their public thing?
Also should platforms such as Twitter or such as Discord, if a leak occurs where someone takes private information from a group chat or private information from a DM, should that be a moderatable offense? Should someone be able to be banned from Discord or Twitter for leaking private group chats or private DMs?
I don't think anything you say on the internet is ever truly private.
I say just ban or block them. You can't.
But that's
take
a
'em off
different
the
question.
Platform.
Yeah, well, that's a different crowd. But like, if
Yeah,
I can,
definitely
if I
different, I
can
think.
prove, right, if I can show that my information in a DM that I sent to Prime Kai, so me and Prime Kai were DMing, I shared a picture of my massive hog with him. Okay, so he's seeing my penis, and he
Very
gets
excited.
so excited that he leaks it to the internet. Should I be able to appeal to Discord to ban Prime Kai for leaking my private DM?
From Discord in total, or from your
No,
server?
to ban him from Discord.
No, just from your server.
Okay, interesting. Fair enough. Rest
Yeah, I
of you
think I
agree
might
with
have
that?
just solidified my opinion on the posting private stuff too,
If
because
I text someone, just text someone, and then they leak that text, should I be banned from texting?
Yes. You're no longer allowed to
it's
text.
that right. It's like Discord is just a means of communication, right? So it's just like
Yeah.
Well, we're I think it's maybe a bit different when we're talking about a private organization. Should that organization be able to take measures against what is perceived to be harassment? That's different. So if Twitch wants to take action against, me, for for spreading the good news about Wick's penis all over the internet, then that's something different than rather than saying it's illegal, meaning I can get arrested from that. So maybe I mean, if they're a private organization, then I guess they should be allowed to do whatever they want. If you want to ban everyone from their
I thought the
platform.
question was should they ban him or should they have the ability to? I don't know. Is it the question should they or should they have the
Should they?
ability to ban?
Should they have a rule that
No, I don't think they should ban you. But having the ability to, it's completely up to them. They're a private organization.
Fair enough. Okay, interesting. And you would say the same for things like if it was a little more serious, right? Like if I was if I told Prime Kai where I lived, for example, and then he
Wait.
used that.
isn't sending NSFW content on Discord against the rules anyways?
Is it true?
I don't think so because
No.
no,
I'm
there's
pretty sure like a lot of people
it'll
are
like
gonna
give
get
you
banned.
specific warnings if you make your
That's the
like
thing.
thing a community channel, then you're like, oh, you can't have it if you can have not safe for work stuff in it, which kind of means
Oh,
Some
it's
can
like
have not safe for
if
work.
you're it's in specific Discords. Okay.
Your
Yeah.
address becomes a bit different because like now people can literally go to your house or find where you are or like.
Well, that's doxing. Releasing
Yeah, so it's
someone's
like-
address
that's-
is doxing.
The picture of your penis is a picture of your penis.
Well,
You can't really...
one is revenge porn, which is illegal, and one is doxing, which actually isn't. So it's weird that you're okay with not banning for the illegal activity, but then banning for the not illegal activity.
Well, I guess I wasn't thinking of it in terms of like revenge porn, right? Like, but then you're not.
I understand.
It's because he liked your penis so much he wanted to share it.
Fair.
It didn't seem
Yeah,
like it
is
had
that
a negative
revenge?
intent.
Like, what if you shared an opinion through text message that you don't want like shared with the public world, and then he posted that? Like, it's you can do the revenge porn thing, but I'm saying he shouldn't be banned for leaking the text.
Interesting. Okay.
Well, and also on like the doxing thing not being illegal, I feel like there are plenty of people who would who want it to be illegal, and so I feel like that should be considered as well.
Hold on. If I put an opinion about Wick's penis, right?
Mhm.
That simply God tier, right? I put that out there. That makes it worse, Ali, than if I just put the picture.
I'm sorry. What do you mean by that?
So I
was saying that like posting like the leak chat of like the picture of the penis would be revenge porn because like whatever. Now I'm saying remove the photo and I'm just texting you an opinion that I find unsavory, right? And then you take that screenshot and apply it. It would be like the same thing. Like, should you be banned then?
Sorry, I misheard you.
No, it's okay.
Okay, interesting. I like I said, I don't know if it should be bannable platform wide, but it is something that is often used as a tool for harassment, right? We recognize that in the case of leaking DMs or leaking a group chat, you don't do it for altruistic purposes. Your purpose is to target someone and to expose them as bad, lying. I would
not necessarily. Like,
No?
what if somebody? No.
What's an altruistic reason for leaking DMs?
It could be if somebody accused me of sexually harassing them in DMs, and I posted all of the logs once they make that claim against me to exonerate myself. I think that would be an example of me like altruistically leaking DMs, and that does implicate the other person's like our private conversations are not going to be made public, but they shouldn't have made like a slanderous accusation against me in the first place. That's an example of me like leaking DMs, and I see that as like neutral, if not net good, because I also have a right to defend myself.
When anyone makes an accusation against you. So, for example, if I was accusing Aaron of being a liar, I'm like, Aaron, you're a liar. Okay. Would that give you carte blanche to release all of our DMs?
No. It would depend on what I thought the audience or whoever's listening to you took it. Because, like, just an opinion itself is not necessarily, like, slanderous or defamatory or whatever. You have to make sure that, like, if what you're saying can be construed as fact rather than just like a verifiable fact rather than you just asserting your opinion, then it gets into territory where it might potentially be actionable. Like you saying, like, lazily characterizing me as a liar, that's not, that's your right to do that, right? That's more of an opinion or whatever. If you make the claim that's more specific, that like Erin goes on YouTube and lies to her audience about how much money she makes or something like that, and you have no evidence to back it up or whatever, then that would be something that I could say is like libelous or slanderous,
And not for nothing, if I'm in like beef with someone online and they're just like going in, yeah, like if I'm not doing revenge porn or whatever, yeah, I should be. I'm gonna leak the tag. Like we're in an argument, we're in beef. You're trying to defame me online. You're trying to slander me online. Whatever it is, you're making fun of me. You're sharing your opinion. Well, all right, cool. This is just a response, right?
Is it?
I mean, yeah.
I mean,
You
I
should have-
understand
okay,
if you're being accused of something and you have information within the DMs that can
So, like-
exonerate
so, like,
you.
in
I
my
understand
opinion,
that. I get that argument.
You need to have better judgment of the people that you're like sharing private messages with or interacting with, right? So like I know that any of my close friends, I can text whatever I want to them. They're not going to leak text because
Unless they're not your close friends anymore, right?
Yeah, what if you guys get into
right?
beef?
Like,
And then it's all open?
Ali, you slept with your girlfriend, right? Because you're the chat of chads and she couldn't resist you. And now you guys aren't best friends anymore, so it changes things, right?
That's my fault. Like if I did something foul to them, or in their opinion, I did something foul to them, and that's like irredeemable, then yeah, it's free game at that point.
Or like, are you uncomfortable with the idea that maybe you have like face-to-face in-person conversations with somebody where you disclose something private about yourself, like your sexual orientation, for example? If they go on and discuss that, there's no evidence of it, but they just go and talk about the contents of your conversation, would you feel like your privacy was invaded?
I'd feel like it was fucked up, but then like there was a reason that I felt comfortable enough. Yeah, because it's fucked up. I felt comfortable enough to tell you something, and then you went and revealed it. But then like that's like your personal judgment, right?
So, okay, let me ask you this. 18-year-old lives with their parents still. They talking to you in DMs. They reveal to you, right? Yeah, my parents, super right-wing, super Christian. But you know what? I think I'm trans. I think I'm gay.
Mm-hmm.
I leaked that. Their parents find out. What penalty should happen to me?
I don't think there can be a penalty that happens to you.
Okay.
I think that's more of like a social faux pas. I think it's.
I was just going to say, there should be like social repercussions, but I don't think there should be anything like legislated.
There's no like legal ramifications. There's nothing you can really do. It's like a shitty situation, and it sucks, and it's fucked up, and like that person should be like ostracized in the community, whatever. But like that's it becomes a social thing.
I think it's like it should be a social taboo for sure. I don't know that it's like anything that you could make illegal. The most that you can make illegal in that instance is like your employer can't fire you for being gay. That's an example of like something that's actionable. But like somebody just speaking about it, no, I don't think so.
Or if like your employer released to your parents that you did that, I feel like there's legal ramification there, but not because of the privacy, more because of like. Actually, I don't know.
Really? So if a teacher finds out, like your professor at college finds this out, and they tell your parents, you think that they're
finds out, or you told them?
Either one.
Either way, I don't know I don't know, because you don't know what the ramifications are of telling their parents. You have no idea what that entails for their life. So I don't know if that is.
What if they were like fully aware and did know?
I'm sorry?
What if they were fully aware and did know? Does that change it at all?
I don't know that. I don't know.
I feel like if you're in like a living situation where if something about you gets leaked that it could affect your life in a negative way, you probably shouldn't just trust people with that information.
Yeah, but if your teacher finds out, or if your employer finds out something and then they tell your parents, I do feel like there's
How would they find out?
Okay.
And why would they tell your parents?
Let me give you this. This is for you, Sushi. Okay. So someone finds out that your significant other is cheating on you. Okay. They catch them together. And they tell you. Have they violated privacy in that case? Violated your
like they saw my significant other
at the movies,
in public,
like making out. Yeah.
No, I don't think that violates their privacy.
You think it's okay? Just so if you found out, if you had a close friend and they cheated on their spouse, okay,
And I see their spouse in public with another person, anyone could have seen them then.
Well, even if it wasn't in public, you just find out that this is the case. Okay, maybe you catch them sneaking out the back door one night. I don't know, right?
Or you see their DMs somehow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think that I don't think I don't know. Is gossiping an invasion of privacy?
Kind of. But
talking about your friends behind their back?
Would you tell your I guess would you tell your friend? That's an interesting question to me too. It's a little off topic, but I'm curious.
I would implore them to find out on their own.
What does that mean?
I would be like, I noticed that I see your husband, going to this one coffee restaurant every Thursday. That's so
This sounds like
weird.
trying to avoid the consequences for like telling them while still telling them. Nah. If anything, if you want to avoid the consequence of telling them, tell the other person they have to fess up, and if they don't, then you'll tell them.
Yeah, blackmail them.
Yeah, tell them to be involved in other
You have
people's.
30 days to tell them, or I'm telling them. That's usually what people do.
Is that blackmail?
Is that what you would do, Aaron? Aaron, no, I have the same question for you. You wouldn't do it?
No, it's fucked up.
You wouldn't tell them? So you
Because
would know.
I'm not going to meddle in people's personal affairs.
Yeah.
No.
So you know for sure, for 100% sure, that one of your best friends, their husband is cheating on them. You say nothing?
Running to them.
Nope. I won't do it.
Allie, what
Because
do you
if I were cheating on my partner, I wouldn't do this. But if I were cheating on them, I'd also want my friends to like not
Cover
tell
for
them.
you? I mean,
your
fair.
Yeah, right. The other person's friends in the situation.
I wouldn't expect them to, but if they did, I'd be like, y'all real homies. I wouldn't fucking out you to your partner either.
Oh man.
You're getting outed.
I don't know. Like, do you have a personal responsibility to like step
No, you
into
don't.
someone else's relationship? I don't think you do.
Oh, to step into it? Yeah, no, for sure.
Like,
No.
if they
If
want
I was friends with somebody and I knew my friend knew, they would no longer be my friend if I knew they knew and they didn't tell me.
100%.
I think as a
Tell me
friend
this, you just let
responsibility,
me-
yeah. I think there is
You
like
just
some
let
level
me
of
be with
social
this person
responsibility
in,
there.
like,
Yeah.
in like a personal way, and then they're just out here like, get out of here, bro. No, I'm
Like,
straight
what
up.
if you know somebody's husband is like a pedophile? What if you're like, oh my god, I saw him like chasing after like 5-year-olds or something? Do you have a responsibility to just tell them then? I don't know if I listen.
Or tell the police.
Okay, you would, but not the wife.
Should find out.
What if they have kids together?
You are not her friend.
Yeah, for real. Fuck.
I guess.
man.
I don't know.
This
I
is
feel like
rough.
you would have to be in that situation.
Well,
Oh,
let's move it back. Let's move it back from the chasing 5-year-old thing. Let's move it back to like just cheating in general. Okay, let's leave the pedophilia out of it. Okay, I know that all roads lead to the extremes, but let's try to keep it within the realm of reality here.
I'm in a contract with whoever I deem to be like my friend, best friend, whatever. You're in a relationship. There's a contract. You're breaking the contract. My contract says I have to reveal that. Like, it's really that simple.
I like that.
I like the principle of like the reason why is like I don't think people should be covering for their like friend's shitty behavior. It's really not that. It's like I would hope people don't attempt to meddle in my private and personal affairs, because you're operating off so many assumptions that like you could cause a lot of damage just based off the assumptions, and like I won't attempt to like meddle into theirs. So like if I went out, right, and I see like my best friend's partner out with somebody else, I think most people would assume like, oh, they're cheating or whatever. But my best friend might be a swinger and she's not fucking telling me, and I could be witnessing a totally like consensual like kosher date. And so, like, in general, it's like, it's not my business. I'm not going to be, like, monitoring it.
Well, I mean, if you have a relationship with them, then you can check in and be like, hey, are you guys, like, swinging or something? Because I, like,
or you can say, I saw this happen, and then they would explain to you that there's nothing going on.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But then, I'd flip the situation. Like, you have a partner, and you've been dating, and, you're about to get married, and they've been cheating on you for the past 2 years, and your friend knows about this, but that person just isn't getting caught. And then, like, you're about to get married, and you just don't find out. You don't think that person should tell you?
No.
I mean, okay.
I would like if they did, I guess, in that
I
instance.
think,
But then
if you
again,
got married to that person, found out that they were cheating on you, and then found out that your friend knew for the past 2 years that you wouldn't be their friend anymore because there's no
Yeah.
trust.
no,
You
Fuck
don't
that.
trust them with
hold on,
anything.
hold on. There's a difference between if my friend just has like a knowledge that they did it like at least one time versus if they're actively like colluding and like covering for them and like they're part of the lie in that way. It's like I'm gonna do like they're
I think if you
flagrantly
concretely
cheating.
know,
It's
then
not like
at any
violation,
level,
like if I never
then it
bring it
makes
up
you
to you,
part
but
of
I
the
know it
lie.
happened. I'm just omitting
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, I want to
Right?
hear. I want to hear from Pepper on
Oh,
this.
sorry,
I
my
can. It's okay. No, I just want to.
Well, whether it's like once or like over 2 years, if they know, like if you saw somebody like actively fucking somebody else, or you see their DMs on their work computer where they're like, I'm cheating on my wife, this is so fun, and it's like very concrete. If you know that, whether it happens once or like over 2 years, you are now complicit if like that person goes,
Okay.
yeah.
Here's my example. I knew somebody who was in a relationship with somebody like their partner was terminally ill, and I knew that they were like cheating on their partner, and I never told their partner or like attempted to. I didn't know their partner. I just knew that their
That's fine.
partner was ill. I didn't tell them, even though I like knew that they were doing it.
You don't have to tell their partner. I'm saying your friend in the situation. Like you don't have any
What?
responsibility to that person's partner that you don't know.
Wait, what?
So you
What?
should tell your
Whoa,
friends
whoa,
stop
no, stop.
cheating.
Can you, no, stop, please, everyone. Aaron, can you repeat what you just said?
I had a friend who was married to somebody, like their partner
Who
was
was dying?
terminally
Who was
ill.
cancer ridden on their deathbed? Okay.
Not on their deathbed, but they were terminally ill,
Oh, so
and
they're like, I'm gonna die in 6 months or at a year or something, right?
yeah, something like that. They were severely ill, and like they were stepping out on their partner with sex workers. Like I knew about this. I knew they weren't
The
talking to their
person who
partner
was
about it.
who was terminally ill was stepping out, or the person?
No, the person who was their partner was terminally ill at sick in like a hospice, basically. And I knew the person who is still very much in love with
cheating
them.
on
They
their
both,
dying spouse.
but they were, yeah, but they were cheating on their dying spouse, yeah,
And you're like, okay,
with like a sex worker, and I didn't tell that person
I
no.
support sex work type of deal.
A lot of people don't consider hiring a sex worker cheating.
I think a lot of people in monogamous relationships would disagree, but I do agree that that's becoming a little bit more common. Yeah.
Wait, so straight away, yeah, you don't have any responsibility to go tell the other person that they're getting cheated on, right? It's specific to your friend. Now, if your friend was the hospice patient, right, and then you found out that their partner was cheating on them, I'm saying that you should tell.
Allie, no. I think you have a responsibility in either case.
To tell them? No.
Yes.
I'm not gonna
If
do
I
that, no.
find out that Prime, my dear friend Prime, is stepping out on his missus, okay?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, dude. I'm gonna tell the missus.
Oh, I feel you. I mean, this might be like
that, because
voicing
regardless
outside
of whether
like,
I know someone or not,
Yeah.
if they are being hurt like that, and I do think that cheating hurts others, right? I do think it's a harm that someone
Okay,
is
wait.
doing.
What if we take this one step further? What if you see two people in public and one of them is like, oh my God, I'm cheating on my wife right now with you, and you overhear it? Is it then okay for you to take a picture of them and say, yo, whoever this is, that your husband's cheating on you?
People do that. Wait, people do that. That's
I've seen people do
I
that
think that's
before.
I wouldn't do that. Now let me tell you why. I wouldn't do that, because I wouldn't tell everyone that Prime's cheating. I would tell his missus, because the missus is the victim. Does that make sense?
Oh, this is a
and when you put this
stranger.
on blast,
So it wouldn't go on libs of
Hold on,
TikTok.
wait, switch question. So online, there's bachelorette parties that happen. People will see like the bride or the bride to be cheating. They'll go online and they'll just give a whole story and synopsis, description of the person's outfit. Hey, your wife is cheating on you. Is that okay with you, Wick, or no?
No, I don't think that's okay, because again, now you're putting everyone on blast. Like, you're putting this on blast in a public way that I think that it crosses a line. But I think that absolutely, if you know the person involved and you're like, oh, I know who this is, I know who their spouse is, then you should tell them privately. And they can decide how to handle it. Because the embarrassment, like, you could be compounding the harm to the person that's being cheated on by embarrassing them so much, right? Like, the shame of it.
Okay, hold on. I want to go back to that then. Then I want to relate what you just said to what Erin was talking about previously. So she said she says that one of the partners is terminally ill, right, in hospice care, and the other is healthy and going out with sex workers. So you're saying, Wick, in the second example, that you wouldn't do it because of compounding hurt. well, this person is on their deathbed. Like the stress of knowing that in their dying moments, their partner is not being faithful to them, that does additional harm, and that literally may tank their health.
I
right?
think
That-
But also, I think it can go both ways. I think it can be like, would you want this person's last dying months to be spent with somebody who is disloyal and unfaithful? It can go either way with that.
I would not feel like I did anything right if I told them, "Oh, I know you thought your husband, who comes and sees you every afternoon, and they bring you flowers, and they love you. I know you thought that, but they're cheating on you with a sex worker." I would not. If I patted myself on the back for that, that would just be cope. I would be like, I did not help anyone here. I just did that for
I feel like there's room for being like, which does more harm?
People deserve to know the truth, right? But I don't think
I think
everyone
that's dependent on the person,
right?
Yeah. I think that'll be dependent on the person.
If it makes their last, it's going to make their last.
Well, I don't know if it's going to bring them like. Man, I knew it. It confirms my suspicions. I had been suspecting this for a long time.
That's the thing.
You're saying you're just doing
suddenly
it to
there's clarity, and I have a clarity of like I don't feel gaslit anymore. I don't feel like I've been manipulated anymore. I know what's going on. That's equally as likely as
you could just ask them
their health, right?
Would you want to know if your partner's cheating on you and then see what they say?
Yeah, but asking that question tells
I feel like that,
it gets
hon. But I wanted this part of a person dying, so they'll spend their last few months like hurt. Right? This person is dead. Like they're not going to be able to find another partner, heal, and grow into a better woman or a man. Right? They're going to die, and in their death, right? They'll know that this person that they trusted completely betrayed them.
Broke their trust.
So, like what has been what has been gained here, or is this person losing something just straight out?
No, and you feel better about yourself morally.
Yeah, you feel better about yourself.
Yeah, I think it's do that to clear their own conscience. They don't do it because they care about that person. They just do it because they can't help but like fucking get involved and do it. That's it. I don't ever. I really usually don't get altruistic.
I think disconnected for a minute. Am I back up? Am I backed up, gang?
Looks
like
it.
They disconnected on the. Okay, we're up. I don't know. My OBS just disconnected, reconnected for a minute. I don't know why.
You're back up. Okay. I have your stream.
We're back up. We're good. We're streaming. But I understand what you're saying, but I think that's just an obfuscation to get out of doing what I think is your duty to
Couldn't you just ask your friend, like, hey, maybe just don't fuck for a couple months until your partner dies? Just hold it in, bro. Like, you got this.
Yeah, honestly.
Just jerk it.
I think obviously giving your friend the opportunity to come clean, yes. But again, I think that if someone, and I do think cheating does harm, if someone's being hurt like that, even if they don't know it, okay, they deserve to know the truth.
I mean, they shared that with me in confidence. I'll just say that. Like, they told me. I didn't catch them cheating on their partner with sex workers. They came to me and they told me, and they assumed that I wasn't going to tell that person. They were correct. Because I was like, are you trying to...
Hold on. I agree. 1 second. I agree that with Wick that it's doing a harm, right? If you are violating the contract, marital contract, even if they don't know, it's doing harm. Agreed, right? But what will do more harm, and will there be any good that comes out of it? It's one thing if you know, although they can get split up or mend things, they have time to mend things together. That's one thing, right?
Okay,
but if
first of all, $5 for fondue. What's the point of the deathbed hypothetical? Was the line we were trying to find? Gang,
Sure.
It's not a hypothetical. We're discussing something that actually happened. Straighterade here. Stop. No, Straighterade here didn't tell that their friend was cheating on their dying spouse. Okay.
Wait. I want to get this out.
That person was doing a service. That person was doing a service.
I need to get this. I need to get you on this one, or not get you on this, but I need to
run
you down on this. But we are talking about harm. You've said that you talked about the reason why I'm telling is because of like a harm is being done to this other person, and you don't want that to happen. Okay, that's fair. But I think it's perfectly reasonable, right, to say that you're to telling them might be doing more harm with no way of like remedying that harm. Do you not think that's a reasonable reason to not tell?
It's possible that could be the case, or, as I said, it's also possible that you would confirm something that had been weighing on their mind and heart, that I have this suspicion, and I think the clarity of having this suspicion confirmed to me has lightened my load.
What is the
That's
So it's like
You lie to
super
them and
situationally dependent, I think is really what
confirm that it's not true, right? If you lie to them and get them to believe that it's not true and they aren't being cheated on,
Yeah,
They're
would
getting
you go
this-
that
they're
like
getting this-
say the spouse, Aaron? I want to ask you this question: the spouse
Okay.
had asked you directly, "Hey, I have a sneaking. I know this is horrible to ask because he comes and gives me flowers every day, but I can't shake the feeling that he's stepping out on me. What do you think, Straighter Aid? Would you have said anything?
Nope. I can tell
Damn!
you the context of this
Oh,
happening.
shit.
No,
That's
here's the
so
context of this
cool.
happening. I was 16 years old. I was volunteering at a hospital for volunteer hours. I became friends with somebody who would visit their wife frequently because she was terminally ill, and he told me that.
Was he an
What, a
adult?
16-year-old?
Why was
Yeah,
he
he was.
telling
Your
a
friend.
16-year-old about his
Yeah,
sexual
for real.
infidelity?
Yeah,
Weird.
Jesus.
Because I would volunteer in the daycare, and he would bring his kid there.
That isn't your friend,
still,
though.
it just
Doesn't
I
make it any
think
better.
you were friends. I don't know. You can be
You have
friends.
less responsibility in this situation.
I have what?
You have less responsibility.
Yeah,
That
as
the
a
guy wasn't
minor.
even your friend.
No, to me he was because we saw each other every day for like
Bro.
6 months or whatever.
Work
And
acquaintance.
Bro,
I got to
wait.
know his kid and
Do you
stuff.
have more of a responsibility of care to the person who's actually a hospice patient at your facility?
Well, no, 'cause- I don't know. I don't know. I didn't.
Technically.
And then would
Well,
it
I
violate?
was volunteering, but I didn't work in specifically in that. I worked in the daycare. I didn't work at like the like
Oh, you're
ICU or anything like
Fair,
that.
I think Aaron took the lesser of two evils, man. That's the lesser.
I
the
think
lesser
in
of
this
two
case,
evils
like-
is not saying anything. Let the person in hospice live the rest of their days. And
I've
just
never
go.
even met their spouse. I've never
Blissful
even like
ignorance,
interacted
right?
with them.
Trolley
okay.
problem.
No.
She just didn't pull the lever.
Yeah. I do think that this one is like a more nebulous one that like unless we know whether it would like hurt them more one way or another,
True.
it's kind of hard. But I feel like in more this is like feels like a weird ass circumstance that yeah may
I
have
never
to
common to
need.
people think. I'm pretty sure like Dr. Seuss cheated on his wife and she was dying
Well-
of cancer, and I'm pretty sure Newt Gingrich did the same.
Yeah,
So I work with a lot of sex workers, and there are plenty of clients who, when their partners have like terminal illnesses or illnesses that prevent them from like having a sex drive or whatever, they do go and see sex workers. And some of them have said like it's healthier for their relationship because they had frustrations that they were taking out on their spouse, and they were not able to be there as a supportive partner during their like terminal or hard difficult phases to get through. So I definitely know that there is a side to that that can be positive, but
This is so case by case.
Just have the
It's so case by case.
conversation.
It's
Have
so
the
case by case.
conversation with your spouse, though. You know, like if you're gonna.
I feel like in
can't
younger
you
generations,
should.
yeah, I feel like sometimes I think in more liberal or progressive kind of families or generations, that's fine. I don't think that like a 60-year-old dude and his. I feel like that's less likely for her to be like, yeah, sure, or maybe it's more. Maybe it's depending on the culture.
Well,
I think.
Wait, really quick. Do
Yeah.
you guys think I didn't have any sort of like with that particular secret? I guess because it implicated somebody else. Like that person again. I assume they told me in confidence. Like they said just as much. Like I didn't. Do I not have a
Wick is all
responsibility
about-
to them?
Wick is all
Not
about
really.
violating privacy. We know
Because
this
he's fine
already.
with violating. Because like that was a secret that was told to me. But Wick, you're saying you would violate that trust that this person had with
Because
me, so I
someone
could
is
go
being
tell their
hurt,
spouse. And
just
I don't even know. I
If
don't even
someone
know if their
revealed
spouse
to
would
me that
believe
they
me.
were beating their spouse, right? I would tell people. Okay.
Okay, but
okay.
cheating is
So
not the same
brave.
as
So
If
brave.
you're an
physically abusing.
adult and you're asking a minor to keep your secrets for you,
Yeah.
maybe you don't
Wild
deserve to have your
situation right
secrets
there.
kept.
Yeah.
I mean,
First of all,
that-
there's that as well. Like we've gone so far
Yeah,
off the panel.
that's a
Like this
fun
is
layer.
related to the panel topic, but now we got to talk about this. $2 for Skill Train Gaming. We aren't normalizing cheating on dying spouses. Bad.
I don't think they should. I told them you shouldn't be cheating. You think I didn't? I was just like, oh, that's based. I pushed back. I was like, you
I
shouldn't
don't
be doing
know,
that.
right?
No, I told them you shouldn't be doing
what
that.
Pep
High
said
five,
was-
right? Like, I don't know.
It was super interesting. I don't want to walk away from this yet, right? She gives a completely reasonable situation, and I've heard that story before. That for whatever reason, the sex is not happening within marriage. It could be because of sickness, because of hormonal changes, whatever. Right? Sex is not happening. Now they are happily married. Otherwise, right? These two couples, they like being together. But for whatever reason, it's not happening. And so, the marriage will fall apart if like the one partner can't get like this important thing taken care of. So they go to a sex worker. Now, I agree that you should just like tell your partner, have a conversation with them about that, 100%. But if you can't, right? Is it better that the marriage falls apart because you are super honest about this, and like kids don't like have to go through a divorce and all
Yeah,
that?
what if they had kids? Exactly, they
You
have
can
kids.
have
I knew
more
for a
harm.
fact this dude had a kid. I would
Yeah,
watch
you
them
can
in
have
the
more
daycare.
harm.
I mean, I have
Otherwise.
to cheat on my wife. I have to cheat on my wife. It's for her own good.
No, hold on.
It's for
No.
her. It's
Wait,
for her
no,
own
it's
good.
your
Gang.
own good.
I would be doing
It's
more
for your
harm
own good.
by not cheating on my wife
Wait.
than I would be by. This is what you're saying right now.
But then
this is the argument you're making
So
right now,
there's
Prime.
option-
Is that
wait,
there's
if
this
the
guy
option is that you're
in
bringing up
debate
otherwise,
throwing
right?
this.
Wait,
If the
you
option-
completely shifted your argument though, because you were saying earlier that like it doesn't matter how damning the information you come across is of somebody. If it's private, there's no like noble way to tell the public about it because you're violating a first principle of privacy. But now with the cheating instance, you're saying that
When
the harm
did I
is so
say
big
that?
it supersedes the privacy.
That is not at all what I said. What I said was, right, when you have like an accusation to make of someone and you use leaked information or even public information that you took a snapshot of something and then you make an accusation along with that, then that could be a violation of privacy. I didn't know. I was asking. It was a something. It wasn't a take. It was something to get you to talk, right?
Okay.
But again, if you have evidence of a crime, if you have evidence of someone hurting someone,
like cheating?
yes, like cheating.
Okay.
It's not a crime, but it's look. Again,
Is
what
it
happens when you tell the truth and you cause more harm, right? You are causing a divorce that wasn't going to happen. That, like, in the alternate future where Wick, right, is a bit more slimy and he doesn't tell you this future, that these people, like, continue on their marriage for 40 years. The kids, get to be with their dad and their mom, like, forever. And it's great, right? But in the future where Wick is a paladin, right? He tells the truth and then shatters the family. And the kids don't get to see their father anymore because the mother just can't see him. And like she poisons them against the kids. Like all kinds of drama happens. That's because you went and told the truth where you didn't have to.
Because I don't use like potential possible results as the only.
You don't
as the
look
only.
at the
let me
consequences of
finish.
your actions.
As the
No, it's
only
bullshit.
indicator here, there are principles that we fall back on that telling the truth is good, lying is bad.
Wait.
What you're doing is like you're offloading the consequences of your actions. Is all you're doing. And you're pretending you're hiding behind what you consider to be a virtue.
But what
it's
you're
simple to say
doing
that
is
you
the exact.
can,
It's the
you
same
can
thing,
see
but in
harm.
reverse. But what you're doing is the same thing in reverse. I'm not going to tell them because it might do harm in the future. I don't know, right? Like, you don't know. You don't have a crystal ball. What you have to do in these situations is say, okay, regardless of the results, should I tell someone who is being hurt?
She has a heart problem, right? And she's like hanging on by a thread. Now Wick here is going to march into her room and be like, hey, look at all these pictures of your husband fucking this 18-year-old, right? That's what Wick is going to do. She's hanging on by a thread.
Maybe her heart problem is a result of being gaslit and lied to by her husband the entire time. Maybe that's her heart problem, and maybe I'm stuck fixing it.
From it.
You have an assumption, though. You're assuming the assumption that she knows and that she's being guessed. If she has what if she's unaware? She's completely unaware. No assumption, no nothing.
Wick was gonna interrupt her chemotherapy to be like, let me make your day even better. Let me tell you your spouse is cheating on you, and your kid now has to know that.
Assume that someone's aware of these things. Obviously, that's why I said you only have a responsibility to your friend, because you can make those kinds of assumptions about people.
Let's take away the deathbed. Let's take away the deathbed from this.
Oh, of course you want to take away the deathbed.
Okay, wait.
Why?
Is it still something you don't tell the other person, Prime?
No.
You're talking to me?
Yes, Prime.
Yeah.
So no deathbed,
that's
right?
But here's the thing, right?
You tell them. No, I want to answer yes or no.
No. I'm going to give you an answer. Wait a minute. I'm going to give you an answer because there's nuance here. So what I've been responding to is like your absolutism here. And like, we just have to tell. I'm saying that these situations are complex. And so I would like assess the situation. I think what Ali was saying here makes sense in that like, well, you're talking about a friend and then you have a better idea at what the consequences might be, right? like all these situations are complex. They're social situations, so they're always complex. So if you're saying, asking me, would I do that? It depends.
You are hiding behind the complexity to avoid making really simple
I'm
statements.
hiding behind
yes,
reality.
You are hiding
and nuance.
behind complexity.
I
apologize.
You're
Wait,
using the complexity of the
whatever about
situation,
them
the nuance of the
dying.
situation, to hide from the just straight up truth that if
Wait,
someone is
whatever
being
about them
cheated on,
dying.
they
What is their
deserve
doesn't mean
no.
you're hiding behind the complexity. Wait, no, not having.
They deserve to know the truth.
No, not having a blanket prescription for something because of the complexity of an issue is not hiding behind the complexity.
Yeah, I agree. Case by case basis, I think, is what he's saying. I think
that's such a coward's answer.
Really?
It is.
So there's no situations where you need to have more, where there's
not none, not zero, but in this situation, about 99, 98%, enough to say.
Wait, no, then you agree with us. If it's not zero, then you agree.
Because what you're doing is you're using that 1 or 2%, and you are putting that face forward and saying, well, it depends.
I mean, depending on who you talk
if you were saying something like,
they'll
yes,
have
I
a
would tell
different
them,
barometer.
but there's maybe a couple circumstances where I would not. Like, yes, I would say this person, but there may be a couple niche circumstances where I would not. But in general, I think we absolutely should tell someone who is being cheated on that they are being cheated on. But instead of doing that, what is going on this panel is Prime, Aaron, you, everyone else is like, well, maybe.
No, I disagree with this. I 100% disagree with this because I absolutely was saying, like, yeah, in most cases, it's probably more important to know. But in weird fucking edge cases like this, where, like, maybe if they have, like, a month to live, like, there's like, you have to weigh the damages and harm. But in, like, I agree with what you're saying. In, like, 95% of cases, probably good to tell them. I've literally burnt a friendship to the ground because I told somebody about this. Like, I'm fully in agreement with you. But I think you are in agreement with us if you think there's, like, that 0.0001% where you're like, yeah, we should weigh the damage.
Again, I would never put it like that. But yes,
You
there
have
are
to.
obviously there are variables that can be inserted into a thing and where we do change it. But that deathbed example that Aaron gave is not one of those.
But different people.
Okay, so your range is a different. Your like threshold is different than ours.
Yes, I think.
But you ultimately agree.
Threshold matters.
Oh, okay.
People have different like opinions of what harm is. I feel like you can't use the word harm because what if you see your friend cross-dressing? Should you go tell their wife or should you keep that a secret from them? Because what if some people might think, oh my god, this is the worst thing I've ever seen, and feel the need to go tell them, but other people might see that same thing and be like, okay, this is their own private business.
What should you tell them?
Yeah, like because different people have different opinions of what harm
between someone
is.
Cross-dressing and someone cheating on their spouse.
Oh no, they might not be.
I don't think that is just as harmful though.
That person sees it as like a negative thing, and it would affect them negatively. They don't want their husband to be doing that kind of thing, and they don't want to be around that type of situation.
Sure, if I knew,
you know your friend isn't like this.
Let me give you this.
Your wife
if
is
I
a
knew
trap
my
con.
spouse, right, or not my spouse, if my friend's spouse hated Republicans, just hated them. Okay. And my friend told me, "Yo, sometimes I vote Republican." Do I have a responsibility? To tell my friend.
Yeah, you do, because that would harm your friend, right?
Yeah, it would harm.
And you have to defend the harm.
So. You absolutely have to.
I don't think so.
Oh no! Why is this?
No, you have to.
How is this?
Because that is not a reasonable expectation.
Says who?
What?
Come on, no.
That I'm with lying about their politics?
You just don't want to bite the bullet, Wick, even though everything that you've said suggests that you actually have a moral obligation to tell that person.
If your friend is a trad con,
this is some weird double standards. Yeah.
You don't feel a responsibility to tell them, but if they're cheating on them, you feel a responsibility to tell them?
Yes, because in one situation, it's a normalized expectation that almost every couple that isn't polyamorous has. You don't cheat on me. In 99% of couples, maybe not 99%, but a vast majority of couples, right? That is the expectation. The expectation of, like, for example, right? Let me turn this on you then. So you have a very traditional man, okay? A traditional husband, and you know that their spouse is out there working. Right? It has a secret job that they don't know about. Okay? Do you tell them? No, because
Yes.
that's a weird
Wait,
that's a
well,
weird
no,
and kind of
no,
an almost
no,
abusive
harm
that's
is
an
being
almost an
done.
abusive
Okay.
expectation.
Yeah.
And I think the
Tell.
expectation
Breaking
that
the
someone
contract.
doesn't vote that
Something that they
someone
made.
has to vote a certain way is kind of abusive.
Wait. What if
Listen,
your
yeah,
friends are like
No, you're not telling someone
vegan?
they have to vote a certain way, but you're engaging in a contract and a relationship with someone under the assumption of these things, and you're going forward with the assumption of these things. So yeah, if you have a husband and a male, and he's extremely trad con, and he marries someone on the assumption that they're not going to work, and then they're working behind their back, and they're that person and the person that's
No,
the
because
trad
I don't
con-
I don't respect his I don't respect
Well,
his
it doesn't matter what
Well,
respect
whether
you
or
have for
not
that.
you
It should
respect
be
them,
It
about
does
how it
though.
harms
Why
them.
does it matter?
This
Like,
is
shouldn't matter
why-
how it
wait,
harms
what?
them.
Why
You
shouldn't
should use
my
the metric of how it
in a
harms
situation
them.
with
why
secret,
shouldn't
and
my
that's
Not
respect
your
of what they
metric.
think being is
Yeah,
reasonable or
hold
not?
on. Now,
the person being affected and they're unaware. They're like, "What if my husband is a Republican? I don't know. I'm unsure." And they come and they ask you, and this is
What
a
if
big
my
deal.
wife has opinions,
hold on.
right?
Wick,
How dare she
no,
have
Wick,
opinions?
Wick,
Oh man,
Wick.
I know this guy would
Bullshit,
hate it if
bullshit.
his women
You
has
know,
opinions.
no.
I should go
Wick,
tell
you
him.
That's just
What?
disgusting.
Rick is bullshitting us. I'll tell you why, right? Because previously he talked about like, well, you can't like future cast into the consequences of what's happening, right? You got to tell. If there's a harm being done, then you got to tell. We have drawn situations where there is harm that is being made, right? Within that situation, if this partner found out, right, they would break up. They would end this marriage because there's a harm, there's a lie that's happening here. And now Wick is saying, now he can look.
Oh,
He's like,
no.
I can't foresee anything, so I guess I'm not going to tell. You've completely 180.
No, you are simply using like these kind of debate bro tactics to try to pin me
What?
down. Well, it's really simple. If you guys would stop yelling at me, I can explain this very simply. Like, if the expectation that the partner has is a reasonable expectation, then I'm with that expectation. I think it's a
according to
social
you.
good.
Reasonable to
I think we should
you?
uphold that expectation.
Why does
I think
your
that's a good
belief
thing.
about how reasonable
Because I'm
it
the
is
one making the
define-
decision.
But it's their
Because
life
I'm
that's
the one
being
making the
impacted by it.
decision
Wait,
whether to tell or not.
Wait,
That's why
wait,
my
no.
view
But
matters.
if you're like basing it on the harm, like it'll do the like if you're saying all this stuff about like it is how it. I just completely lost my train of thought.
I understand you guys are off
No, no,
on
no.
the.
Yo,
you
Wick,
lost
you made a
the plot.
prescription before.
I understand.
You-
Let
No,
me
it
rerail you.
doesn't
Let
follow
me
the
rerail
prescription
you.
before.
Don't worry.
You made a prescription before, Wick. You said that like you should tell. It wasn't that like, oh, I would just tell, right? It wasn't
Yeah.
just about you. You're like, you should tell.
Yes,
This is
Yeah.
the way it
because I
should
think
be.
you should
And-
follow
and so-
my moral prescriptions
So
because my
going
moral
by
prescriptions
your
are better than your
standards,
moral
your
prescriptions.
double standard. Going by your standards,
Okay.
and like there is a harm that's being done, right? And
I don't care
this
what your
person should-
moral standards are. I
I'm
really
talk-
don't. My
Do
moral
you
standards
care
are
about-
better
Do you
than
care
yours.
about
yours.
I'm talking about your moral standards.
Do you care about the moral standards of the people in the relationship who are actually being impacted by it?
Depends.
Oh, so it's a nebulous. It like requires nuance. It's a
There's
complicated
much more
situation. Got
nuance
it.
to that
Okay.
Wait,
than there
wait.
is
I have one
to
that's
should you
so good for you,
tell
Wick.
someone who is being cheated on that they're being cheated on. If you know and you can do it in private, yes. If you have to put them on public blast,
Why?
probably not.
Why? Why
Because
should
they
you
deserve to know that they are being violated in that way that does a real harm in a way that
A
other
real harm.
expectations being violated do not do a real harm.
Okay.
Such as
So in the
if
same-
a man
in the same way-
expects
in the
his
same
woman
way-
to not have any opinions or never vote, I think that does not do harm to the man when that expectation is violated.
Okay,
in the
what
same
if- what if-
way
what if-
that
what
if she
if it's
was
a woman-
cheating on him
what-
would do harm. These are
what if
not
it's a
the
woman-
same.
What if it's a woman? She votes pro-choice. She's married to a man and married under the assumption that the man is pro-choice, but in actuality, the man votes pro-life.
I don't
That
tell her.
direct
I don't
effect to
tell
the
her.
person. It negatively impacts them, or at least there's a feel of negative impactfulness. And then,
Yeah,
like
I would break up with somebody if that was being hidden from me.
So then, what should you do in that case?
And
if your
Rick
friend
wouldn't
is
tell.
the girl?
No,
your
I
friend
wouldn't
is the
tell
girl-
because you don't have that. That is not a reasonable expectation for you to have.
Why isn't it? Why does it
If
stop
we
at,
established our relationship upon it,
If their opinions in how they act that doesn't violate the
how they vote stops
the-
being an
the
opinion?
sanctity of your relationship.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hold
But how
on,
you're
Wick.
voting stops
What if
being
you
an
find
opinion.
out that your friend's spouse confides in you that they are in the closet? They're living a lie, okay?
They're gay.
You know they're gay. Yes,
or
they're gay.
lesbian or whatever, right?
Yeah, they're gay, they're lesbian,
trans.
and they're married. Or I'm just gonna keep it sexuality.
Okay.
So they are like a closeted gay person. They tell you, Wick, in confidence, I know I'm married to so and so, but my life is a lie because I'm not actually attracted to them. this is a sham marriage, they're my beard, I'm actually in the closet, and I don't intend to tell them. Would you tell them, or would you keep that person's secret about
I would
their
ask
sexual
first of all,
orientation?
Can I add a
are you
caveat? They're not cheating on their spouse.
okay? They're not
They're
cheating on their
going
spouse.
off.
And they're not cheating. They're not cheating with
They're
anyone.
not cheating.
They're just
I would keep that secret. Yeah.
And then the spouse comes to you is like, I am so happy I've married this manly straight man. Boy, do I love being with a straight guy. And like,
no one
like,
has
this is
said
exactly
that
what I
ever.
wanted. You know
Like,
what would suck?
living a line is miserable.
You know what would suck if I was married to a gay guy? I've seen women who've like accidentally married gay guys, and oh my god, that would be disastrous for me. Now you've heard both of those, and you don't say anything.
A miserable life.
Yeah, you've heard both of those, and you don't say anything.
Mhm.
So,
Oof.
correct, Wick? You don't say anything?
Again, as long as the person
Wow,
isn't
this is
cheating,
bananas.
as long as the person
What?
isn't cheating on them, then I think that they're entitled to their own beliefs and opinions. Yeah.
so okay. So they're not cheating. They're just living a whole ass life. They're not actually attracted to their partner at all.
It affects the sanctity of their marriage, though, doesn't it?
Does
Yeah.
it?
It's the
I
whole,
mean,
it's
yes,
the
it
whole
does.
basis of what it's.
That's crazy.
Oh man, buddy.
Okay, wait, Wick. What if they're using drugs behind
No.
their partner's
How?
back?
How? If they never act on it, they never engage in any behaviors that are homosexual or anything. They are loving to their spouse. They don't really love,
I
but
can do it. I
they
can do
just
it. Wait,
If
behave
you
the
were
same.
married to
right?
somebody and your wife was secretly a
What's the
lesbian, you
harm?
would not want to know that.
Why is it violating?
I
something?
got your harm.
want
I got your
Pepper
harm
to
right
answer
here.
me.
I got your
It's
harm.
Wait,
deceptive.
I'm pissed.
I have your harm. Your harm is very simple, right? Like a gay person who is not attracted to your genitals will probably not be as enthusiastic with you in bed, right? Like, and this actually means something. If you have a person who is like, a reluctant to have sex, and you, Wick, right? You are being the manly man you are. You're like, I'm doing everything that I can, right? Like, I'm like taking pictures of myself, like oiled up and naked, right? And it does nothing for her. I don't understand, right? And
I don't know. I've never had that.
this
problem
causes you a harm. I would, if I knew your wife was a lesbian, say, hey, Wick, your girl likes other women, and so that's why. And so I would want you to have a happier marriage, to leave this, if that's what you want to do, to leave that relationship and find someone who liked your amazing God tier dick.
You are putting so much like extra into this thing, right?
Let me
Because
ask you,
again,
see where your threshold lies.
what if like you talk to your buddy and you're like, how's the sex life? And he's like, it's great. I love it. She's just so turned on every
Oh,
time
was the
I come
opposite.
into
So
the
again,
bedroom.
it needs nuance, and it's situationally dependent.
But in a way that is different than cheating, because cheating is doing harm regardless.
People.
Okay,
no.
so wait. Okay, so like your friend is a trans woman. They're out going on dates with somebody, and they're not telling the person on the date about the situation, and then there's no sex happening, but they're leading on this person under the assumption there's no, like, is that wrong? Should you out that person?
Good question. I'd have to think about that. I don't know.
Well, how does everyone else think?
Yeah, I'm curious what other people think. I personally, I don't know. I'd have to think about that.
Because I think that's a major deception. That's a major deception that's happening. That's something that's going on. And
Is
so
it a major deception? What if they're post-op?
doesn't matter.
Does that change how they
Doesn't
can
matter.
have kids?
Well, no, they've already revealed to their partner they can't have kids. They just say it's something else. They say it was like I got a hysterectomy or something, right? Like,
Nope, you're lying.
Yeah, if your
You're
partner
that
wants to
person.
have children.
I just don't see how that's not gonna come out, honestly. I probably would not out somebody on their gender identity because I'm assuming that if they're telling me they probably they're going to transition soon, and it's like this is gonna come out anyway, so I'm gonna let them lead that. I'm not gonna meddle and be the one to do
it's
it.
like they form online relationships with people, right? Long distance relationships with people where like the assumption wouldn't come out till later. You already built this relationship with somebody, and then you're gonna drop the bomb later. That's where I would see the effect would be negatively.
Yeah, okay, I'll stick a claim here. So, because maybe I might have missed what you said. To be clear, right? You're saying this person is trans and hasn't told their partner.
They're trying. They're like dating. They're forming relationships, right? And it's like they wait a long while, right? They have no actual intentions of telling the person until it becomes physical, right?
Oh, okay.
oh, so
All
they
right.
intend to tell them eventually? Then that's fine.
Yeah.
Okay, you can tell them
Yeah.
eventually. Yeah.
Yeah.
Telling eventually is the important part, I think.
Yeah. Like if I'll give you an example on the cheating thing. So if I knew my partner's like, man, I'm cheating, or not my partner, right? But my friend's partner was like, hey, I'm cheating. I don't want to tell him right away, but I'm going to tell him in a few months. I would be like, I'm
No.
going to hold you to that.
No,
But then I
I'm
would
just gonna
allow
out
them
him.
to do that, right?
I'm just gonna out him.
I'd need to see why they're waiting a few months. I'm like, what's the difference between telling them in like 3 weeks from
Yeah.
now
I mean,
versus
you
like
wouldn't tell them
last year
even
with
if they
the
were
kids?
dying,
Goes
so
away
I
to
don't
York.
know what you're talking about. Like,
No, like to me, unless I could see, because the harm to me is not the cheating. That is harmful, but again, like I have this like the broad principle to me is like I don't really want to meddle in other people's relationships. If I knew that they were having like unsafe, risky, unprotected sex, and I felt like their partner was at risk of contracting an STI or something like that, I feel like I would actually have an obligation to disclose that. But then I'm not actually getting on that person for cheating. I'm like, the thing is that you're not fucking wrapping it up, dude. That's why it's like an issue.
did you ask the man who told you that he was having sex with sex workers and while cheating on his dying spouse if he was using protection?
No, I didn't. But I knew that he and his wife, because she was terminally ill, she was too ill to
wouldn't
be
matter.
intimate with him.
Okay,
So, like, they were in. I didn't say it didn't matter. I just am answering your question and saying that I knew for a fact he was not being intimate with his spouse any longer
It
because she
didn't
was too
matter,
sick.
Aaron. It didn't matter.
Shut up. That's not what I said.
I'll bite that bullet. It didn't matter.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
No,
Okay.
I was gonna
Okay,
get involved in
this
that.
is,
No, hell
He's
no.
not having sex
this
with
has
her.
gone,
To her. It's fine.
This has gone far off topic, but I had to address this because it was just so much. Aaron, thank you for sharing that story. This is it started a conversation. Let's say
I feel like I outed you, Wick. I outed you
outed
me?
wildly inconsistent on this fucking issue because earlier you
consistency
seemed way
is a
more
hobgoblin
consistent.
of the foolish minds. Okay. My
No,
goal
but you're
isn't to be
pretending you're
consistent.
consistent. That's
My
the
goal
bullshit
isn't to
part.
be
You were
consistent. My
demanding
goal is to be correct. Okay.
You were demanding consistency. Bullshit.
Yeah.
Bullshit.
Yeah.
like we've demolished you today.
You
Like
demolished me.
demolished,
I
right?
don't know. I think you guys just exposed yourselves as a little immoral, but that's okay. It's okay to be immoral. I still love you. I still love you all. I don't want to keep you too long. I know that people have things to do, places to go, and we have gone off the rails. But I want to give everyone a chance to shout themselves out, have closing thoughts on this topic. Tomorrow, gang, 6 p.m. Eastern, we're going to be talking to 𝕵𝖎𝖎, who has accused me of being emotionally abusive. Me and Aurora had an interview with a lady by the name of 𝕾𝖍𝖎𝖙, and 𝕵𝖎𝖎 made a react video about that, about how me and especially Aurora were abusing 𝕾𝖍𝖎𝖙. So I invited her to come on and talk with me about it. So we'll see how that goes. But until then, Ali, closing thoughts on all of this, the privacy, the morality, and tell people where to find you. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I mean, privacy is a right. The responsibility is on you. It's that simple. It's not anyone else. You can find me on TikTok, and I'm gonna start streaming pretty soon. 𝕬𝖎.
𝕬𝖎. Check him out, gang. Thank you for being here. I really appreciate you coming through. Give him a follow, give him a like, give him all that things. What do you think, Pepper? Go ahead. Closing thoughts.
I feel like this was a super interesting and rambling discussion. We covered a lot of ground. I think a lot of us kind of agree that like there are ways that privacy should be handled, but we can't expect the world to behave that way. So we just have to operate on what like actually is the reality. I'm Art by Pep on Twitter, all the things, all the platforms. I'm streaming tomorrow, and my mom recently had a heart attack, so I'm opening my art commissions. If anybody wants art of hot ladies, that's my forte. So yeah, hit me up.
Art by Pep. If you like hot ladies and you like art, go check her out. Thank you.
Hot ladies you've seen in the street, or are they just like imaginary hot ladies?
Imaginary hot ladies.
Okay, imaginary
Yeah.
hot ladies. Gotcha.
Privacy is important. Listen.
Well, check her out, gang. Thank you for being here. Really appreciate you coming through. Front guy, what you got?
Wick is a fraud in every way that I've ever said. Right? Like how many times I've railed against Wick and his BS principles, right? Like Wick, you prove everything that I've said about you. And like and the blatant inconsistencies and the logical fallacies, like this is just like a symptom of being a centrist. Like this is where it's going to lead you, right? Where you think like you're balancing the priorities of both sides. No, you aren't. You failed miserably. So any which way, I just got to get that out there. I love my friend Wick. He's an awesome person, right? But just whatever happens in his brain, I don't co-sign. But I do co-sign my friend Pep. So please check her out. Go to her go to her channel and get commissions. She's a fantastic artist. And let's support her if we can. And of course, support my friend Wick. And it was great talking to all of you. Nice meeting you, Ali and Sushi, and seeing you again, Straight 8. And
Pleasure, Prime.
Yeah.
No, always a pleasure. Prime gang, he hosts panels on Mondays and Thursdays, and sometimes other days too. And you should really check him out. He starts at 8 p.m. Eastern, and so it's usually just after my show. So you know, it's a 1-2 punch. You get the Wick, and then you get the Prime, the ice and the fire, okay? You get the yin and the yang coming at you from both sides. You are the sandwich in our middle, like, you are the meat in our sandwich, okay? We are the bread.
You're the lateral structure on an Eiffel Tower. That's what you are.
Okay. Yeah,
but
exactly. No, but check him out, gang. Click on his links, all that. He's great. Speaking of great, though, again, if you're dying, never trust her. Aaron, go ahead.
Fuck you, Wick. Okay, I agree with Brittany Simon now. Okay, you gaslit me, you gaslit this whole fucking panel. What your position
you brought
was
it up
on this the entire fucking time. Okay, so you're gonna see me tomorrow calling in, and I'm gonna be the biggest Brittany Simon defender and ally you've ever fucking seen. Okay, fuck you guys. I never said cheating is a moral maxim. Okay, don't fucking cheat on your spouses. Okay, but I guess you can rely on me to help you cover your ass insofar as I'm not gonna fucking tell them. I don't want to get involved with your fucking relationships. I don't think. Fuck no. Okay, so I stand by what I fucking said, and I was only 16. If that can also help me cover my ass. Okay. So I'm at Straight 8 on everything. If you want more Zoomer opinions like this, I suppose go follow me there. I'm at Straight 8 or Straight 8 _ on Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, Twitch, which I never stream on, but yeah, another fun panel. This is your brain on centrism, Wick. You caught bullets on all sides of this argument, okay?
And I chewed them up and I spit them out. I said, bring them on. Your nerf is nothing to me. That's what I said. But seriously, in all seriousness, Schrader is great. We should have her on more often. This was fun, so thank you for bringing it up. And you can call in tomorrow. I would love to see you. That should be fun. But no, it's great. Last, but certainly not least, first-time guest on my show. Hopefully we haven't scared her off. Sushi, who are you? Where can people find you? What do you think?
Follow my Twitch, Sushia. I don't really stream. I just live my silly little IRL life. Yi is better than Pepe. I don't know. That's it. That's it for me.
Boom. Check her out, gang. She did contribute.
Also, I love Brittany Simon. And can you please tell her I love her? I keep messaging her, but she doesn't respond. I subscribe to her on Twitter and on YouTube, but I don't know. She just like
you can maybe if we have call-ins tomorrow and you call in, I'll pull you on and you can tell her yourself. How's that?
All right. I don't know if I'll probably pee myself if you did that. So I don't know.
Okay. Okay. Check her out, gang. Follow her on Twitter. Follow her on whatever platform she does. Thank you, gang, for being here. Who's streaming? Are any of you streaming right now? No, not a single one. God damn it. You're making it hard on me. You guys want to go see Resi or Beckett? One's in chat if we want to see Resi. Two's in chat if we want to see Beckett. What do you think, gang? Come on, tell me now. Anything? Nothing?
Let's say Beckett. I don't know.
Okay. We got one in chat for Resi. We'll go see Resi. Remember, spam those emotes and let him know that Wick sent you, okay? And let him know that this is also a hate raid. So we'll see you guys tomorrow, 6 p.m. Eastern. Should be fun. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.